Welcome to Horror Cinema Obsession. Here, we dive deep into the chilling depths of horror cinema, from the critically acclaimed scares to the laughably ludicrous, and even the delightfully obscure. Now, let's join our hosts, Richard and Angelus, as they share their love, laughs, and sometimes sheer disbelief at the world of horror movies.
You ever walk into a bar thinking you're just gonna have a drink and end up fighting off a nest of bloodthirsty, half-naked vampires with a pool cue and a crucifix made of a shotgun and a baseball bat?
Yeah, happens to me all the time.
This week, we're heading into the seedy underbelly of a Mexican bar where fugitives are unstable, preachers have lost their faith, and the exotic dancers might take more than your money.
From hostage situations to holy water baptisms, in less than 90 minutes, talk about character arcs.
So buckle up, sinners. It's episode 48, and we're sinking our teeth into From Dusk Till Dawn, the movie that proves sometimes hell isn't below us. It's serving shots in the middle of nowhere.
Don't fall asleep, don't look away, and for whatever you do, don't order the special.
This is Horror Cinema Obsession. Let's raise some hell.
Raise hell, praise Dale, baby. That's right, folks. You're listening to Horror Cinema Obsession, and we got a good one. Dusk Till Dawn, 1996, baby.
Boop, 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 boop.
I'm your host, Richard.
And I'm your host, Angeles.
And we're excited to be here. Man, what a week. What a movie. How was your week?
It's been good. It was fast.
It was fast.
It was a good weekend.
Weather, oh my God, spring is here. Got to do some chores. Worked outside. Oh my God.
You took your legs out for a spin?
I know. I was wearing my cargos. Hey, fun fact. Vienna, she's all but maybe 110 pounds, and we wear the same pant size. And I'm a 240-pound man.
Amazing.
Yep, size 38. We both wear. That's insane. The style. Can you believe it?
Because we're going to share pants.
I know. Anyways, let's get back to the movie, Dusk Till Dawn. Have you ever seen this movie before?
I think I have
I was excited to show you.
Like a glimpse that I might have seen this like forever ago.
It was a while ago?
Yeah. I remember the shotgun and the shape of a crucifix. And
But you remember?
Yeah.
I didn't remember that.
Unless
I've seen this movie
it was a different movie. Very vaguely, yes. I think it's the same one. Maybe it was a different one.
Yeah. No. So how did you like it?
I liked it. It was very entertaining. There was a lot of,
What was your initial thought?
Oh, I was confused.
Were you like, here we go again?
First, because we were like 30 minutes in, and I paused and I was like, Richard, is this a horror movie? Where is it?
I was like, wait.
I was like, how much fucking longer? Because I feel like if other movies, you're like, this isn't horror. Blah, 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 blah. And I'm like, we are like...
rightfully so, though.
Solid 30 minutes in, and nothing is happening.
You know what? Tarantino, Rodriguez, they get a pass.
On your book.
Yep.
You're being biased, man.
Yep. So how did you like this movie? You really liked it?
I liked it.
You enjoyed it?
Yeah,
we watched it easily twice with ease, I feel like. Like, it was pretty smooth.
Yeah, more or less.
It went down pretty easy for me. It was like not that cheap tequila. It was that nice premium top shelf tequila.
Well, at the end, like, how many vampires can you kill before this movie is over?
I love it. That's the beauty part of it. So did you love the B factor charm that this movie had?
Yeah, it was pretty good.
It was. I know. They pulled it off really well. No, I'll cut to the chase. I enjoy this movie. That's why I picked it. I was excited to show it to you. It was nice. I did like it. I do want to address, though, there are some cheesier parts in this movie. We'll cover a little bit later, too, but I can't avoid it. Every time I see it, I'm like, God, I hate it. George Clooney's tribal tattoo.
You hate it?
I fucking hate it. It is stupid. To make him look more badass, you did not need that. How'd you feel?
Maybe he needed Is that what was in style for being a badass in the 90s?
I guess. I don't know. Along with a barbed wire tattoo or a heart that says mom in it. I don't understand.
I remember the barbed wires, like the ones that go around your arm. I feel like you see them now more on people that are more culturally associated with, certain tribes, the tribal tattoos. But I think maybe they should have just put neck tattoos on him. That would have made him look like a
I just
rebel
don't know if
instead
it
of
was
a
needed.
tribal.
I don't know if it was needed, but yeah. So that's cool. I liked it. You liked it. We'll see if our opinions change towards the end of this episode. Now, this movie was released January 19th, 1996. So the turn of the new year of 96. Its primary filming locations, it was shot in California and Mexico, including Calexico, California for border scenes, Hollywood, California, interior and soundstage work.
They were all over the place.
And then in the Mexican parts was Churubusco Studios in Mexico City, notable for vampire bar interiors. Its budget, I have it at 19 million. Is that what you have?
I found.
And then its box office gross, it didn't do too bad. I thought this was a little low, but maybe for 96 it wasn't bad. Domestic was 25.8 million, and then worldwide total was 59.3 million. It wasn't a massive box office hit, but it gained cult status fast, and thanks to its genre mashup, Rodriguez-Tarantino team-up, and an unforgettable vampire bar chaos, I think it really just tied everything in. And at that time, Tarantino is smoking hot. He just came off of Pulp Fiction. He's on fire, not like physically hot, but he's on fire. You're looking at me like that.
What the fuck?
Stupid. Keep up with me here. His career is on fire. He Reservoir Dogs a few years prior, Pulp Fiction, this. So he can't do any wrong right now. As our boys from the other podcast, Blank Checks would say. He has a blank check to do whatever he wants, and he chose this.
And he fucking did.
And he chose this. And some would say he still has a blank check, man. He does whatever, but it's all brilliant. Yeah. Now, this movie, was it... So you know what a Grindhouse movie is, right?
Kind of.
So, Grindhouse... I kind of have it. For me, I would say, yes, this is a Grindhouse, and I'll explain. Maybe you'll get a little bit better understanding of it. But Dusk Till Dawn isn't a traditional Grindhouse movie in the 1970s sense. Think of, I don't know if you've seen it, you've probably seen the remake, but like I Spit on Your Grave and Cannibal Holocaust. Have you seen any of those?
I've seen I Spit on Your Grave, but it might have been the remake.
Yeah, those are considered Grindhouse movies. But it's 100% inspired by Grindhouse cinema, and it's considered a modern homage to the genre. And then here's why, and this is what I have. So the Grindhouse elements it has is the genre mashup. It starts as a violent crime thriller and swerves into gory vampire horror. Classic Grindhouse, it's unpredictable. Sleaze and shock, strippers, blood, profanity, and over-the-top violence, low budget often in Grindhouse movies, and a low budget feel and look. Despite this having a decent budget, Rodriguez leans into practical effects, the grimy sets, and the pulpy tone. And then the Grindhouse talent. So written by Quentin Tarantino, directed by Robert Rodriguez, both obsessed with Grindhouse films, and later created a movie called Grindhouse 2007, which I'm sure we're going to cover at some point down the road.
No.
Why it's not technically Grindhouse. It had a wider theatrical release and studio backing, so Dimension Films backed it, right?
Mm-hmm.
Unlike true Grindhouse films that played in rundown theaters or double bills, this got, the massive release. The production quality is much higher than classic Grindhouse fare. Some would even say Texas Chainsaw Massacre, the original Grindhouse, yeah.
Okay.
And think of that,
so
that kind of dirty, yes.
Low budgety.
So, From Dusk Till Dawn is Grindhouse style film. It's slick, self-aware, blood-drenched love letter to that dirty, violent B-movie flicks of the 70s.
So to you, it is Grindhouse.
Yes.
Okay. To me, I guess when we're comparing, it looks a little more polished.
Right. Yeah. Well, yeah, it's polished. It's not Grindhouse in the traditional sense. But seeing how you didn't know what Grindhouse was.
Well, now that we started referencing the original.
Go ahead.
Texas. I was like, no, that looks way more
No,
gritty.
this is clean. This is cleaner. I do like a 70s kind of effect that I love that Rodriguez does. And they did this in Grindhouse and other movies, but when they show a lady in the trunk, they have this, she's a circle of her and she's laying there. I kind of thought that was cool. Yeah. It's kind of an artistic approach. But continue. You were going to tear into me.
I was like, you fucking asshole. Oh, considering you just found out what Grindhouse is.
You know, I like to have fun with you. Oh.
Keep it going, man.
I just love it. You get all pretentious. You're like, I just figured it out a minute ago. But
a little more polished than what you're saying. It was like a play down on a B movie.
Right. It also is considered a midnight movie pick. Now, I wasn't aware of this kind of a classic being described as this, so I had to do a little research on it. Did you know what a midnight movie was?
I have an idea of what it would mean, but I don't know if it matches your description. Isn't it just like those movies that they play late at night?
So a midnight movie classic refers to a film, usually strange, subversive, or culty, that gained popularity through late night screenings. So you're right on that. Often becoming a favorite among diehard fans, stoners, insomniacs, and counterculture crowds.
So it's like when you turn on Shudder and you go on the live and it's whatever's playing. I feel like a lot of them, it's a lot of those movies.
Yeah, I think you're right. I think it's more along those than your big box office movies. So key traits of a midnight movie classic is unconventional or shocking content, weird plots, taboo subjects, excessive violence, or surreal imagery. So I think you're right. Cult appeal. It may have bombed on the release, but found a loyal fan base over time. Think Critters 3, Child's Play 3. Interactive screenings. Fans often dress up, quote along, or even act out scenes. Think Rocky Horror Picture Show.
You know someone.
That's a gold standard.
You know someone who was obsessed with Rocky Horror Picture Show?
Vienna Banana?
Mm-hmm. She had the playlist memorized.
That's awesome. And another description is low budget or offbeat style. It feels gritty, raw, or totally unpolished in a charming way. And then kind of like a Grindhouse, and then frequently played at midnight in indie theaters, especially in the 70s, 80s, when theaters would run double features and B movies for night owls.
They still do that now and then at the Garland here. They'll do Rocky Horror Show at midnight shows.
Right. I think that's cool. So examples of these, here's the movies it has that I found are Rocky Horror Picture Show, like you were saying, Eraserhead, Pink Flamingos, Reanimator, The Evil Dead, and From Dusk Till Dawn. Those are some of the movies that are considered midnight movies. So for calling Dusk Till Dawn a midnight movie classic, it taps into that legacy of films that are best experienced late at night with a drink in hand, friends yelling at the screen, and no idea what the hell is coming next, even though you've seen it a million times. Yeah.
Very nice, very nice. Would you consider this? You didn't catch this on a midnight movie showing, did you?
No, I was in first grade when this.
Oh my god!
Movie came
randomly guess were you 6 years old?
We're the same age, Angela.
I don't know if you caught it when it came out or later on in life.
I would have saw this movie. I was far too young to watch this, and my parents weren't watching Tarantino movies. They didn't really appreciate cinematography like that. But I caught this. I want to say it would have been. I didn't get this till later. Okay. I would have caught this about 2006, 2007. I was in high school when I watched this, and I would have watched it on TV, so it edited out a lot of stuff.
Oh,
yeah,
all the boobies.
Yeah, so chunks of scenes I didn't see until I had to I rented it. You know what I mean?
You were like, whoa, this was not on my TV.
Right, exactly. I'm like, holy shit, I missed half the movie. What the hell?
Essentially.
So, yeah, I didn't see this until a little bit later, which is strange for me, huh? I think this is a first.
Yeah. You're always like, I remember going to the theater when this came out.
Oh, I wish. That would have been awesome. So, can we talk about that? The genre shift. We were kind of hitting on that. You were kind of confused. This is kind of the first movie we've encountered where it had this shift.
Yeah.
How did you feel about it?
Well, I was confused at first.
You were perplexed?
I was. I was like, oh, this looks like a traditional Tarantino crime movie with
and you're pretty familiar with Tarantino
everything.
movies.
I've seen a handful of them.
Okay.
So I was like, yeah, okay, this is happening. And I was like, wait. It was entertaining. Don't get me wrong, but I was like, I thought we're a podcast and we cover horror movies. I was like, when's the horror kicking in? And I know that it was about vampires. So I was just like, is the lady the vampire? Or are they the vampires? Who the fuck are the vampires?
Right.
Because I didn't remember. But no, it was like, I think we talked about this before. It's like you're watching two movies in one.
Yeah, they put a double feature essentially into a 90-minute movie, which I thought was pretty creative and pretty clever. Is it seamless? No, but they do a pretty good job of the continuity of the story, going one to the other. You know what I mean?
The continuity. I mean, I guess the shift, the arc from one to the other. Yes. Was it effective for you? Like, I guess you picked it. So would you consider this entire thing horror?
So there's parts of it that are, but it's more action in the beginning. I give it that. But there's gore. So if you think about it in the movie, the first scene we get, right, is in the gas station. The dude's held hostage and they're trying to get the cop. The cop shows up, right? Boom. Cop gets shot in the head. And then they get in a shootout, right? And they shoot his hand, and we have goriness where we see through his hand, and then we light the guy on fire. Mm-hmm. So there's action, but there also is a horror element to that action. We're seeing gore. I think it plays into it, but by no means is this a horror movie yet.
I think
it's not until we get to the bar when we start seeing horror.
I guess I consider this more action. I think if I had to talk about it in a horror, I would have to focus on the last 20 minutes, 30 minutes of the movie.
Yeah.
When the vampires actually
40 minutes.
Appearing.
Yeah. But so how did you feel when the vampire showed up? You're like, okay, now I get it.
I was like, here we go. Here's the horror.
You gave me a pass at that point.
I was like, okay, for sure. I had to wait for 30 minutes, 40 minutes. But here's the vampires. They were okay. I don't know. They weren't super scary. The effects of them, the transformations, obviously they were cool to see. But I don't know. It was still action-y because there was, all the fighting going on. And then you start seeing some of the characters transforming and then they're fighting.
Good. How did you feel about the Titty Twister bar? The logo was phenomenal.
Was this in Tijuana?
Was it? I don't think it specifies.
They never say.
They're going to El Rey, but they never specify where they're at. They're in the middle of nowhere.
Yeah, I thought it was cool at the end when we see in daylight where they are, and underneath you can see that there's on the back of the bar, it's really a pyramid, not just some random fucking bar.
Yeah, it's like an Aztec pyramid type of thing.
Yeah, and I was like, oh, that makes way more sense that the vampires here. Cool. They just kind of live underground.
I thought the bar was awesome going in there. I was like, that's a place I'd hang out.
You didn't? No, you fucking would.
Yeah, dude, it had everything. It looked pretty appealing.
Really?
The aesthetic of it was awesome. They did a really good job, I think, for building the set, right?
Yeah.
I thought the Titty Twisters were cool.
Does that mean we're going to State Line?
What? No, we don't have anything like that. You're thinking strip club. I'm not thinking strip club. I'm thinking bar setting.
That was not a normal bar setting.
Had
They
a pool
had
table.
topless girls everywhere dancing on tables.
Yeah, but that's the vampire part.
That's a stripper part.
Were these vampires traditional vampires?
No.
I got lizard style. I thought
Yeah.
they were lizards.
They're lizard people.
They're lizards.
They're listening to us.
Especially Salma Hayek's character was definitely a lizard.
She had no front teeth. That fucking tripped me out. She's like, she was like, I'll kill you. When she was talking, she said, oh no, she was in her human form. So I was confused with the vampires.
She didn't really have any lines.
She talked a little bit when she was in a lizard format, but she had no top teeth. That was weird. The thing that I was confused with these vampires was, okay, when we first see them, they're humans, and then they turn because they smell blood.
Mm-hmm.
So my assumption is whenever they want to, just looking at Salma's character, she can transform back to human whenever she wants to. So it's not the same, but it's not the same for all of them because some of the characters that transform after, they just stayed as vampires.
So I think it's more of they're hungry and want to turn, and they just became vampires and they want to eat.
They're baby vampires?
Yeah, I don't think they're transforming yet. I think after they kill everybody, they transform back if they wanted to.
Oh, so had they waited it out and not killed all of them?
But they're still evil. They're not themselves.
Well, yeah. They're vampires.
Mm-hmm.
But they could have transformed back to their quote-unquote human selves.
Yeah. How'd you feel about the dialogue? I thought this was classic Tarantino dialogue.
It was.
I fucking love it, man. Like, I don't know if this dialogue could happen today. Well, it can because he has. I think he's gotten more mature with his dialogue.
Yeah.
In movies, this one definitely young. You can sense it's young man Tarantino.
Young man Tarantino.
I love it. They would have to change some of it. Some of it's a little controversial, like the homosexuality kind of
jokes.
Yeah, exactly. Like the slurs. That stuff would have to change. But that being said, I was still entertained. You can shoot me for saying that, but it was entertaining and kind of funny for the point in time of what it was in the context of it.
It was funny.
Yeah. Good. Thank you for giving me approval.
Stupid but funny.
But even, just the jokes in general, like some of the deadpan even conversations where I was like, oh my God, that's hilarious. Even between Clooney and Tarantino, and even Harvey Keitel's character, Jacob, he has some funny things, even though it wasn't supposed to be funny, but
they just came across as funny at the end.
Yeah, it was pretty good. Now, I do want to start. I have a segment for us.
Okay.
I have an intro song. Do you want to hear it?
Play it.
So the segment we're gonna it's called Footnotes. Tarantino foot fetish. So here we go. Give me a second.
Drop a DJ.
Tony on the dash, foot in your face. Quentin's got a kink, he just won't erase. Wiggle those toes, cue the close-up shot. If it's got a feature, know it's getting hot. He ain't shy, he's got one wish. A 5-minute scene where someone dips a foot in his dish. No shame, no socks, just soul obsession. It's a Tarantino foot fetish confession.
All right, that's right, folks. Rated F for foot. Now, do you know where this origin came from? This movie would have been definitely at its peak foot fetish.
Isn't that it?
So no. So I did a little research.
Oh,
more research than someone should.
What does your Google look like now?
I know. I get a lot of feet pics. It's weird.
Now your Amazon's gonna be like, do you want to buy?
So I do. Tarantino foot fetish, it's become so synonymous with his work that it's basically its own meme, right?
Trademark.
Now, here's the breakdown of where it came from and how it turned into his trademark. Again, this is extensive research on my part, more time than I wanted to spend on this. But it's valuable time spent.
Okay.
Where it started, there's no official origin story from Tarantino himself. But the pattern is undeniable. His foot fetish is not a secret. He's even joked about it in interviews and leaned into it into his films. So notable examples, I found them and I watched every movie in detail.
Just for this episode?
Yep.
Or
Yep. We have Jackie Brown, 1997. Bridget Fonda's bare feet are constantly on display, especially in scenes with Tarantino's signature camera lingering under tables. Kill Bill Volume 1, 2003. Uma Thurman's Wiggle Your Big Toe scene is a literal minute of foot-focused screen time. Death Proof, 2007. Just about every shot of women in the movie include their feet on a dashboard, out the window, or front and center. And then Once Upon a Time in Hollywood in 2019, Margaret Robbie's soles are propped up front and center in a theater while she watches herself play in the movie. Margaret Qualley's feet are pressed against Brad Pitt's windshield. That's also part of that. So not Margaret Robbie, Margaret Qualley. She's in the car. You've seen that movie, right?
I don't think I have.
You ever seen Once Upon a Time in Hollywood?
Mm-mm.
It's a pretty good one. You might have to watch it.
I wanted to because my boy Johnny Depp is in it, right?
Whoa, what?
Johnny Depp? Is he not in this movie? No, Leo. Never mind.
How
Move
much
on.
Leo have we talked about in this app? Oh my God. Guys, let's blow her up. She earned that one.
I just remember the cover of the movie. Someone
Everybody's
like a Hawaiian shirt.
Everybody's gonna blow up our email about that. Watch.
Okay.
But yes, we can watch that. That'll be a good movie tonight if we have time.
Okay.
But yes, you'll notice the foot fetish in that. So I do have Tarantino responses. He's been quoted. In an interview, he mostly plays it cool or sarcastic. So in 2021 GQ video, he said, "I don't take it seriously. There's a lot of feet in a lot of good directors' movies." Another one, he also said, "Yes, I have a thing for feet, but who doesn't?" Right?
Mm-hmm.
Why this matters or doesn't matter. For fans, it becomes a quirky director trademark like Hitchcock's cameos or Wes Anderson's symmetrical shots. For critics, it can feel like self-indulgent and unnecessary fetishization, especially when it doesn't serve the story. So it just serves as fetish.
I think from the sounds of it sounds like Tarantino makes movies for himself too.
Well, yeah. I mean, why else are you going to do this? He wants to make films. He's passionate about films. One of the smartest dudes when it comes to movies and the genres and everything, history. So I truly believe he does this. One, he enjoys it.
Two, he's like, bonus.
Yep.
Let's get these people's
He's like,
feet on
I
there.
love feet, even when they stink.
Does he put guys' feet on there too, or just girls' feet?
Just girls' feet.
Just girls'
Who
feet.
wants to look at dudes' fucking foot clubs? You know,
everyone listening, beautiful. Richard has beautiful feet.
I do.
I feel like he should sell them and just make
I do have beautiful
side
feet.
hustle money.
I do have beautiful feet, but they're only for our viewings. Okay?
Okay. No calluses, no nothing.
They're gorgeous. I know. Thanks for putting me on blast.
We're talking about footnotes, so I feel like you fit in there.
Let's see yours. I want to see yours.
Mine are not.
Yeah, let's see them.
I have hardworking feet.
Oh my God. That's true.
That's true.
Now, you had a little bit on Salma Hayek. Did you want to cover that a little bit? We're rolling pretty good. We're going into the cast.
All over the place. Are we going into the cast?
Or what do you have? We tried a new format, guys, with our note taking, so it is a little quirky.
Chaotic.
So bear with us a little bit.
So a little bit about Salma Hayek, because I was like, oh my God, I love her and she's in this movie, and then I went down
She's
the
like your
rabbit
favorite
hole.
actor because you blew up. You're like, oh my God, Salma
I
Hayek.
just
She
can
is
relate
way
so much
better.
to her.
She actually gives a culture. She respects the people, unlike that Jennifer Lopez.
Oh my God,
You
that's
bring it
so
up every
good.
time. You're like, fuck J-Lo.
I did not. She actually have a quote.
She is not an icon.
Oh my god, I have a quote from Salma, and she actually calls her she makes a comparison to Jennifer, and I was like, this is it. This is why I
You're
feel
justified.
myself reflected on Salma Hayek. Salma Hayek, this was one of her breakout roles, so apparently she has a lot of spice to her life. When she was in Mexico, when she was around 12, her parents sent her to a private religious school in Louisiana to go to school there, and she got kicked out because she kept teasing the nuns too much. So she got kicked out of the school and sent back to Mexico with her parents. And she had a breakout role in a Mexican soap opera called Teresa. And from when she grew up, she decided she wanted to continue to approach acting, and she moved to Hollywood. And when she came to Hollywood, she kind of had like a hard, like true look at acting for Latinos in Hollywood at the time. And she noticed that for Latina actresses were usually typecast as either mistresses or local prostitutes. And so
those were the two options?
Yeah, so that's what she kept landing on when she was going out for these roles. In 1991, she appeared on Street Justice. She was also in another show called Nurses, where she played a sexy maid on Dream in 1990. And she was also in My Crazy Life, and she just had one line. And she just felt that she was not being appreciated. She wanted to go for bigger, more serious roles.
What? Who doesn't? Let's be real. You don't want to be typecast.
I've heard the same thing from John Leguizamo. Is that his last?
Yeah.
Yeah.
Leguizamo.
He also had a lot of those.
He was one of the originals that was breaking out.
Yeah. I saw an interview where he said that in the summer he wouldn't come out to not get tan because he wanted to look more light-skinned so they could take him serious. And again, not typecast him into these stereotypical roles for being a Latino. But anyway, so Salma did this interview around 1993, and she was venting about her frustrations about, these roles and how she was being stereotyped into those roles. And Robert Rodriguez and his wife at the time, Elizabeth Avellan, were watching that interview, and they were smitten by her. So,
one, she's absolutely gorgeous.
Beautiful, yeah.
So I could see Robert Rodriguez like, oh, this is a no-brainer. She wants to act. She's gorgeous. She's going to elevate my films. Of course I'm going to put her in. This is a no-brainer.
So
she had the right attitude.
Yeah, so he reached out to her and casted her with Antonio Banderas, who was a big name at the time.
Another stud, another gorgeous actor.
Yeah,
at the time.
In Desperado in 1995. And that kind of put her right into the spotlight.
Dude, another movie, sorry, hold your thought. Another movie that I encourage people to watch if you haven't, El Mariachi.
El Mariachi.
That is a top-notch action movie.
Oh, yeah.
Antonio Banderas, right?
Yes.
Yeah, Robert Rodriguez film. It's awesome. I love that movie.
Yep. And then from there, she went on to appear in From Dusk Till Dawn, Fools in Rush, Breaking Up, 54, Dogma, In the Time of Butterflies. Wild West, I learned she has her own production company called Ventana Rosa, in which she produced and starred in Frida Kahlo, the remake that she won. Apparently, she won a ton of awards for this movie.
Nice.
Frequently collaborates with Antonio Banderas, Robert Rodriguez. She is godmother to Rodriguez's kids.
Oh, shit.
One of the quotes that I had in here that I was like, okay, she says she doesn't believe in the so-called Latino explosions when it comes to movies. Jennifer Lopez doesn't have an...
What do you mean Latino explosion?
When it comes to movies, is what she was quoted saying, that she doesn't believe that Latinos are being exploited.
Oh, exploited, not explosion.
Explosion. I don't believe in the so-called Latino explosion.
Was that a certain point in time? Was that like late 90s or something? It must have been because you have Antonio Banderas, the original Zorro, Salma, J-Lo. Who else is in that? Is that Mark Anthony, or is he just a singer at that point?
I don't remember.
Yeah.
I haven't watched it in a few years.
Sorry. Keep going.
Keep going.
I'm trying to piece it together. You didn't have any detail on that?
And the explosion? No. I just thought this quote was interesting. She said Jennifer Lopez doesn't have an accent. She grew up in New York, so speaking English, not Spanish. Her success is very important because she represents a different culture, but it doesn't help me. I grew up in Mexico, not the U.S., and the fact is that there just aren't many parts for Latin actresses. She was constantly having to persuade people that her accent wouldn't be a problem, but an asset.
Okay.
Oh.
So, Latino explosion in films refers to a period in the late 90s to early 2000s when Latino actors, musicians, and filmmakers gained major visibility in mainstream U.S. entertainment, especially in Hollywood and pop culture. Highlights of that. So, I was right on that a little bit, but we had Jennifer Lopez, Selena, and Out of Sight, The Wedding Planner. You had Ricky Martin.
Ricky Martin was in movies?
No, but he music.
Just sing music.
Yeah, Living La Vida Loca in 1999. Salma Hayek, her deal. She started early in 95, Desperado. But then I forgot you have Penelope Cruz.
Oh, yeah.
Gael Garcia Bernal.
Garcia. Oh, yes. That's my other boyfriend.
Crossed over from, international success to U.S. films. Antonio Banderas, another one. The Mask of Zorro. Spy Kids, 2001. And just became a leading man in Hollywood, but disappeared.
He's been doing I remember we were talking about this a few weeks. What happened to Antonio Banderas?
Yeah, he had a stepchild or whatever.
No, he does. Dakota
Fanning?
No, not Fanning. The one from the 50 Shades of Grey,
whatever.
whatever.
Dakota, yeah. Johnson?
Johnson? Is that her last name?
I don't know.
Anyways, he's been staying more at home with his kids. He was having some sort of health problems too at one point.
So the cultural impact is it led to increased Latino representation in media, but also criticism and tokenism, or casting Latinos primarily in stereotypical roles. Think of, in the 2000s, I remember the stereotype was gang.
Yeah. Well, that's what happened to Danny Trejo. He kept getting, just either jail inmates, gang members.
But this explosion did, whether she owns it or not, it did help open the doors for future Latino stars and filmmakers, and it reflected the entertainment industry's growing awareness of the massive Latino audience in the U.S. So that's interesting. That's kind of cool. I didn't even see that Latin explosion. So
what's happening?
Fascinating. I'm going to do a little more research on that. Interesting. I thought I was going to read something about, what was his, Babyface?
Baby Bash?
Yeah, Baby Bash.
Face.
You have a Baby Bash story, don't you?
A Baby Bash story?
Yeah, or who did you see and he's like, oh, yeah. He was like giving you a cat call.
It was Baby Bash.
Yeah.
At a concert in Yakima, at the Sundome of Yakima. We left. Couldn't find a fucking Uber in the city. I don't know why. So we were walking, trying to kill time. And then a car drives by and he's like, hey, nice legs. And we turn over, just see his little head with his stereotypical little fedora hat sticking out the window.
And I don't want to shit talk, but this is Baby Bash at the end of his career. And all he sang, what was his hit song?
Oh, he sang he came out and sang 3 songs because he was the headliner. 2 of them were the same song, Sugar Sugar.
Oh my God. Just 3 times, I would walk out.
Everybody was like, what the fuck is happening right now? It was like a fever dream.
Yeah, don't be a headliner.
And then, what was his name? He plays the piano. Frankie J. They brought his piano on the stage for him to play, and they did not work at all. They could not get it to work. He's like, sorry guys, we're having technical issues. And it went from like hip hop to him singing really, really slow songs. People started leaving. It was a fucking hot mess.
Yeah, you're here to party, not like do slow jams.
Yeah.
That is hilarious. Do you have any other concert stories? Any other artist hit on you at their low points?
At their low points? Nope, that was it.
Oh, okay.
For now.
So, moving on to other casts, unless you have more Salma Hayek.
No, that was it for Salma.
Should we just talk about it, her scene?
Her scene?
Yeah, should we just break it down or should we wait?
I think we can wait till we...
Okay, we can wait. So our next guy, our breakout star, this is his breakout role, George Clooney as Seth Gecko. He plays the cool-headed, ruthless bank robber and the leader of the Gecko Brothers. So at the time, Clooney was best known for playing Dr. Doug Ross on ER. Are you familiar with that? I remember growing up watching him on ER.
No, I never watched it.
So this was his first major film lead, launching his movie career, and some of the notable films I'm sure everybody knows, but we have Out of Sight, 98, Ocean's 11 series, and I think they made 3 of them, right?
Something like that.
We have Serrana in 2005 won Best Supporting Actor, Michael Clayton, which is pretty good, and then The Descendants. Now, he has many, many more. I'm sure I'm missing. There's that one where he's in space.
Gravity.
Gravity. I don't think I've ever seen that one. Was that with Julia Roberts?
No. Is this the one with Sandra Bullock?
Oh, yeah.
If it is
it good?
And it was not the greatest. No, it wasn't.
It wasn't with Sandra Bullock?
It is with Sandra Bullock, but it's not the greatest.
Oh, I never seen it.
I saw it in the movie theater.
You did? Was this one of your classic dates?
It was.
Oh my God. You did, until you met me, you dated dudes that had crappy taste in movies. What was the other crappy movie someone took you to? It was like Joe Dirt 2 or whatever.
No.
The Rise of Dirt.
I think we talked about one, but I saw a Conjuring movie, I think.
No, it wasn't. It was something far worse.
Far worse?
Because I gave you shit about it. I can't remember what it was. Guys, if you've listened...
it was a...
You hadn't seen a Transformers movie?
I've seen No, I think it was a Fast and Furious movie.
It was. Oh my God. Guys, if you listen back to our other previous movies or previous episodes, please let us know. I think it was Fast and Furious. I'm starting to realize, Angel.
What? You took me on dates to movies too.
Yeah.
Guardians of the Galaxy.
You picked that one.
You picked that
I
one.
wanted to go to the Evil Dead.
We did watch Evil Dead.
What was that? Rise
the
of
remake.
Yeah, the one
Rise
that came
of
out.
Evil Dead.
I love that Dead by Dawn. That one was pretty good.
Yeah, this lady was trying to hit on you with the excuse that she was scared to walk her to her car after because she was scared.
Yeah, I was like, yeah, I got you. What's up?
I was like, bye. I'll talk to you in 3 days.
Dang. But anyways, where were we? Yeah, George Clooney. I thought he did pretty good besides the tribal tattoo.
He wasn't. The last thing that he has credits is Nespresso the Detective 2025.
Nespresso commercials?
No, Nespresso the Detective is a movie.
I don't think that's...
Yep, it's a short.
Yeah.
Eva Longoria is in it.
Oh, cool. I don't know. I know he does Nespresso like sponsorship.
Is that what the fuck that is?
Yes.
Oh my God.
Now, I think he does a pretty good job in this movie, though, because...
This is so stupid. Sorry, there's another Nespresso credit on here.
Yeah.
I thought it was legit.
He's also
movie.
a billionaire. He sold his tequila, I believe. He had a tequila brand. Anyways, focus, Angels. Focus. I think he did a pretty good job in this movie, though, where it was serious, but at the same time, you took him as... I didn't take him as a bad guy. Did you?
I mean, yes.
Because he did some pretty violent shit, right?
It was a bad guy turned kind of redeeming him, but not entirely
Redeemable?
bad.
I didn't get he was bad. Like, he was trying to play the badass, which he did to a certain extent, right?
Yeah.
But he was still likable for me.
Well, even he was appalled by his brother's fucking crimes.
Well, and I think the contrast between Tarantino's character, Richie, and his did help that, because every time he was in the higher light.
Oh, yeah.
And he looked, yeah, it was just better. But I think he played the role pretty good. Even he was saying some fucked up shit, like, I'll fucking blow your brains out and I'll blow your son's brains out. But at the same time, he's saying it and delivering it like cool. Like he was cool. Which is on purpose. I think they did a pretty good job with that. So I like the Clooney casting in this. I thought it was pretty good, especially for the self-aware B movie that it was trying to be. I think Clooney elevated that.
Mhm.
And then we transitioning into Quentin Tarantino, the foot fetish master himself, Richie Gecko. So he's Seth's disturbed psychotic brother with violent delusional tendencies. Now, Tarantino, his character in this was extreme. I don't know if we can have another character like this in a movie where he was definitely a rapist. It showed some of that. Didn't show it.
That lady?
Yeah, it didn't show it being explicit, but it did imply it heavily. And then we had scenes where Juliette Lewis's character, she's he's having delusions, that he's telling him stuff, to eat her out.
And then
I thought that was extreme. Even you were kind of cringed about it. You're like, oh,
well,
I
they
don't
make
like
her
it.
seem really young.
Yeah. She was 18 or older in this movie.
She was 25, mid-20s.
Mid-20s,
she was in her 20s.
Yeah. But she did look like she was 16, which made it awful.
Yeah, they said, obviously the outfits that they gave her just trying to make her way younger than she was. Yeah. But even, Clooney, when that scene happens, it's supposed to be so bad and so shocking. Like you said, they don't fully show. It's just bits and flashes.
Oh, when Richie,
of the room.
When Richie had killed their hostage, right, in the motel. Yeah,
and even Clooney, he's like, dude, I'm not like you. He's like, I'm not a fucking. He's like, I'm a thief. I'm just trying to.
I don't kill unless I have to.
He said, I don't kill unless I have to, and I don't rape women. And he was pissed about that.
Yeah, he's like, I'm a professional. You're not. Yeah. Which I thought that was another cool part of this movie where it was he was battling with that too. This movie's not deep by any means, but it does add that arc to it to wow, he loves his brother and he's trying to overlook, and to a certain extent he does overlook his shortcomings, and they are short, where he's a rapist and he has schizophrenia type of delusions.
Mm-hmm.
Because even in the gas station, he brings up, hey, man, that guy's tipping that cop. And he was not at all.
Yeah, no, he's hearing things.
Yeah, he's hearing and seeing things. He's very delusional. But Seth in this movie is seeing past that. He wants to help his brother. And he thinks by getting to El Rey that things are going to be better. Which I don't think it ever will be. I don't think it ever will be.
Because that's just who he is, man.
So
he's just fucked in the head.
Everybody knows Quentin Tarantino, famous as a writer, director. I have Pulp Fiction, The Kill Bills, Reservoir Dogs, but he also occasionally acts. Another one that I remember, not only this one, but what sticks in my brain in the early 2000s. Do you know what I'm talking about?
No.
Little Nicky. He plays the.
He was in there.
Yeah, he plays the priest.
The deacon?
No, he plays the priest, or not even a priest. He just plays a dude on the street screaming about hell coming, and he has a sign, but he's in a religious outfit.
He's a deacon.
And he's blind. I don't know.
Oh, yeah. I don't remember him. I think I haven't bits and pieces of that movie.
Oh, gotcha.
Little Nicky.
Yeah. Deacon or not, I don't know the terms. I'm not a God nerd.
Shut the fuck up. You're stupid. I'm not a God nerd.
But he's in that. Let's see. And then his notable...
He was in Django?
Yeah.
I don't remember.
He was one of the slave owner type guys.
The Hateful Eight, I remember watching that.
I like that one. But that's Tarantino. I thought he did a fine job in this. He plays the good weirdo. Yeah. I thought he was awesome. And then we have another acting legend, in my opinion, Harvey Keitel as Jacob Fuller. His role, a former preacher who lost his faith after death of his wife, traveling with his 2 children to Mexico on vacation. He's a veteran actor with history in both indie and mainstream cinema, frequent collaborator with Scorsese and Tarantino. Notable films that I have for him are The Mean Streets in 73, Taxi Driver in 76, Reservoir Dogs in 92, The Piano in 93, and then Bad Lieutenant in 1992. Do you know Harvey Keitel?
I'm not too familiar with him.
Yeah, he's pretty good. How'd you like him in this? I thought you did a good job.
I liked his character.
Yeah, he did a good job. And then do you have anything on Juliette Lewis?
Juliette Lewis, she my girl. I was watching her recently in Yellow Jackets.
She plays Kate Fuller in this movie.
She's Kate Fuller. She's the little baby that gets kidnapped down to Mexico. She's done a ton of work. I've seen her in a lot of different things.
The little baby? What? No.
Well, she's the teenager.
Okay.
That Tarantino's being a creep on.
Yeah.
Lots of stuff that I've seen her, like I mentioned, Cape Fear. What else does she have? Natural Born Killers was one of her breakout roles, and from what I was seeing is after she did Natural Born Killers was the reason that she was casted.
Yeah, and she was also in California, spelled with a K, in 1993 with Brad Pitt.
And then she was in, where is it? Oh, Enough. She had a small role. Old School. She was in there, that comedy. Whip It. I remember her in there, but it's more like a drama. And then more recently, she's been doing, I feel like, more of the mystery things, like I mentioned. Yellow Jackets, that show that's been going on. Let's see, what does she have? The Act. She had another role in there. I think I've seen her mostly in TV shows, not so much as movies. More recently, she was in something called Opus.
Okay. Cool. Yeah, that's Juliette Lewis. Thank you. And then we have Ernest Liu as Scott Fuller. Juliette Lewis is Kate Fuller's brother, I should say. His role is Jacob's son and quiet, reserved teen. Now, his background, this was one of his only major acting roles. He mostly left acting after this film. I couldn't find too much on him.
I thought he was in a couple shows. The Faculty.
He was in that? I don't remember him.
Relativity, Unhappily Ever After. But again, it was just like a one episode. The last thing was Unscripted in 2005. I saw for him.
Yeah, I didn't really see much on him. He lives a pretty private life. I thought he did fine in this. And we covered Salma.
Dude, she was 30 when she made this movie.
Whew.
Salma Hayek.
Yeah, I know. Jesus. She's fucking... And she ages well. She's incredible. We have another guy who, epic in this movie, Cheech Marin. He plays not just one, not just two, but trace roles, man.
Every time I was like, oh my God, Cheech again.
I forgot all about that. I'm like, Jesus, he's in 3 roles.
I know, when they showed up at the bar, I was like, what the fuck, that's Cheech again?
Yeah, the first one, he plays the border guard when they're trying to cross the border. And then the wildly inappropriate titty twister, like announcer guy, I guess, that loves chocha. Or like your grandma would say,
cilantro.
Yeah, you gotta keep that cilantro tight and hidden. But he likes that. And then at the end, he plays the gang member Carlos that's gonna get Clooney's character Seth to Mexico. Or to El Rey. So everybody knows him, I think. But his background, he's a comedian from the comedy group Cheech and Chong, known for humor, voices, and playing multiple characters. One of my favorites from him that I always remember growing up was one of his movies, I think Born in East LA.
Oh, yeah.
But he sings, he's like, I was born in East LA. And he's like, he can't get home. He
accidentally got deported because they deported a bunch of people and he was working and it's what's happening right now.
And he's American though.
Yeah, and he was under without his passport.
We gotta watch that movie.
So he's trying to find ways to get back into U.S. illegally over and over. He's like, come on, man, I'm American. And they're like, no, you're Mexican. Goodbye.
We gotta watch that movie. Maybe we watch it tonight. Will you watch that with me?
Yeah. I remember him in Up in Smoke. My fucking favorite is
Mexican American.
When he hotboxed that car and he's like, I can't blind, I can't see.
One of my favorites one of my favorites from those guys is he's like, hey, is Dave there? He's like, Dave's not here, man.
There's so stupid.
Anyways, they're legends. They crack me up. Till this day, I can watch their stuff. They're good. Another one that I know him in, my mom used to love this show growing up. We would have to watch it with her, but it was with the, drawing a blank, but the show is called Nash Bridges.
Okay. He's in there.
That's the dude from Miami Vice. God, what the fuck? And Bucky Larson, he's in that one too. He's the director. What the fuck? I can't remember his name. But anyways, he's in Nash Bridges. That's pretty good. But so some of the notable films that I have for Cheech is Up in Smoke in 78, Tin Cup in 96. He plays the voice of Ramon in Cars, and he's in the Spy Kid series.
He was also in Polly. I remember him there.
Polly's good, yeah.
Oh, I see. Nash Bridges.
What else do you have on Cheech?
On Cheech, he was also in Grindhouse, apparently, Planet Terror, Machete.
And he's an often collaborator with Rodriguez.
Yeah, so it looks like they collaborated in a lot of those things.
Don Johnson is the name of the
the other guy.
Who plays the lead in Nash Bridges. I'm a fucking idiot.
He did voices for The Book of Life. He was in Jane the Virgin for a little bit. Coco. More voices in there.
Dude, that's another good one.
Mm-hmm.
Oh, it's that time again.
And
you know what character we have?
Donnie Trejo.
So we've already covered him, but every time we got to do justice for Trejo. Hold tight. Here's a song we have.
Justice for Trejo. Justice for Trejo. He's tough as nails with stories untold, but Hollywood keeps his screen time short. Justice for Trejo. Justice for Trejo. He's tough as nails with stories untold, but Hollywood keeps his screen time short. Justice for Trejo.
Yep, that's the man. Hashtag Justice for Trejo. Keeps getting killed in every fucking movie we've seen.
I'm pouring my 40 right now on my hardwood floor.
Your Paloma. R.I.P. Donnie.
Goddamn. We also have him in Con Air. R.I.P. He hasn't died yet in real life. He's 80 years old. Did you know in this movie he was? I think you told me he was
like in his 53.
50, what the? He did not look like he was in his 50s. He looked mid 30s.
Yeah,
but I think it's because he always looks old. His face is tore up, dude.
Yeah. No, he was just in great shape. I was like, no way. Because I guess Savini was 2 years older than him in this movie, and you can clearly tell that Savini looks older than him.
Right.
Yeah. It was nuts, man.
Yeah, talking about Tom Savini, the man, the myth, the legend.
The sex machine.
Yes, he plays Sex Machine. He's a whip-wielding biker with a dick gun. I thought that was awesome. That's one of my favorite scenes.
I know. You were like, wait, watch this. I was like, what am I?
I wish you would use it in the movie, like thrust. That would have been awesome.
Just stand up and shoot everyone with it.
Uh-huh.
It was just for looks.
So obviously we know the background. We've covered him in a few movies, but famous special effects makeup artist, for those of you who don't know who he is, especially in horror, appears in cult horror films, usually with a badass flair, except the last one we covered of him, I think he did Maniac, right?
Mm-hmm.
Not so much. I think that was one of his first acting credits.
Potentially.
But notable work for effects, we have Dawn of the Dead in 78, Friday the 13th in 1980, From Dusk Till Dawn, and then, notable acting, we have Maniac, Cop 2, Planet Terror, and Maniac.
His first acting credit is Martin in 1977.
Oh, okay.
3 years before Maniac.
Okay. And then we have Fred Williamson as Frost. So this guy's an old acting vet. I've seen him in different movies. He's a former NFL player. What he was popular it was in blaxploitation movies. He's an icon in the 70s. I know you've seen his stuff too. right?
Yeah, I've seen a few of his things.
Yeah, so he plays a Vietnam vet and a vampire slayer in this movie.
Pretty badass.
So notable films that I remember, I didn't write it down, but we have him in Black Caesar in 73. Hell Up in Harlem, I think, is the one I've seen in 73. Starsky and Hutch in 2004.
Damn.
What else did you have him in?
I'm trying to remember the movie that I remember him.
He pulls the heart out in another movie, and it's like thumping. He's like, it's an old play because Dumb and Dumber does it too, where like, not Lloyd, maybe Lloyd does. He pulls the heart out of the waiter's chest.
The heart out of. So this movie, obviously, he was in Children of the Corn 5.
Was he?
Apparently. And then he was in The Range Within, like you mentioned, Starsky, Spaced Out, Pushing Daisies, the show. He was there for one episode. He was in Zombie Apocalypse Redemption. He was in Real Husbands of Hollywood for a couple episodes at one point. Jackson Bolt. More recently, he was in Mind Wiped in 2022. So not a lot of like very big movies that I see.
Yeah. Let's see what else we got. Maybe he didn't pull it out in another movie. Maybe it's just a classic scene. Maybe I'm misremembering things. So, and that's what I have for actors. Obviously, we have a ton more, right?
Yeah. These were like the main
ones. Do you have anybody else that you had?
No, the only other person that I had was Michael Parks as the Texas Ranger, Earl McGraw. Apparently, he's been shown in some of the other Tarantino movies.
Oh, okay.
It's kind of like a play on some of these that they show him a little bit and he dies. Yeah, I didn't remember that.
Yeah. And then we covered a little bit, but our director spotlight, our director is Robert Rodriguez. Now, he's the director, also edited the film and co-produced with Quentin Tarantino, part of the writing team behind this movie and its expanded universe, the sequels and TV series. I remember he was part of the TV series.
Have you seen any of the other movies?
I've never seen, I think, Until Dusk Till Dawn 2, Texas Blood Money. I know it has Robert Patrick in it and Trejo, my boy, but I've never seen it. And I think I've briefly seen 3, but it wasn't like anything to write home about.
Okay. Not the show?
I've seen the show. I liked it. I like the show. It has Fez in it and he plays a badass. That's why I learned the word cabron.
Cabron. This is where you learn your Spanish.
Yeah. He's just like, easy, cabron.
No.
And then, so his background, born June 20th, 1968 in San Antonio, Texas. He's a Mexican-American. He started out as a do-it-yourself filmmaker with a rebel mindset, known for making movies fast, cheap, and full of attitude. His words. Famously made his breakout film, El Mariachi, in 1992. Definitely, you should see it. He made that for just $7,000, shooting it entirely in Spanish and winning the Sundance Audience Award.
That's crazy.
That's pretty good. $7,000? That does not look like a $7,000 film.
Not at all.
That's impressive. His signature style. So again, fast-paced editing, sharp stylized violence, grindhouse aesthetics, B-movie love with A-movie confidence, Latin representation, especially in his early work, and often acts as director, editor, and cinematographer and composer on his films. He's pretty much a one-man studio. Yeah, he also kind of jumps in between. He's not just limited to one genre. He is in kind of a little bit of everything. The only thing I don't see him doing is romantic comedies.
Not yet.
I mean, we have action crime. So El Mariachi, Desperado, Once Upon a Time in Mexico. Horror, we have Dusk Till Dawn, Planet Terror, Machete, Machete Kills. For family and films, this was a surprise, but I do remember him doing Spy Kids. But The Adventures of Shark Boy and Lava Girl, I didn't know. And then We Can Be Heroes. I don't know what that is. Have you? Do you know?
I don't think so, no.
It's Netflix 2020, I guess. And then he also has sci-fi. So Sin City is 2005. He co-directed with Frank Miller. And then Sin City, A Dame to Kill For. And then one that caught me by surprise, and it sounds like it caught you by surprise, is Alita Battle Angel in 2019.
I liked it.
Hmm.
Did you watch it?
Yeah, I've seen bits and pieces. I thought it was pretty good without seeing the whole thing, though.
Yeah, no, I thought it was pretty interesting, an interesting story take. It doesn't look like his typical Grindhouse, greedy, needy movies.
So, do you think Rodriguez makes a better horror or better action movie? Because you've seen Planet Terror, right?
Bits and pieces.
You've seen Machete?
It's been a long, long time.
Okay.
I don't know.
I think he does better action, in my opinion. I think he's pretty good at that. But I think he's great. I like all his work, really, except I don't know his family stuff, really.
Gosh. He also directs shorts, like music videos. He did an espresso.
He fucking did an espresso. Who hasn't done an
With the
espresso?
piano. I've never seen these commercials. Why is this new to me? I haven't.
Sweet baby Jesus, man.
Sweet baby Jesus.
You keep finding the Nespresso
They're
fucking
just
credits.
in all these people credits. He directed for Demi Lovato, for Lady Gaga and Ariana Grande.
Well, if you're looking for
Reinhardt.
If you're looking for a certain kind of vision, or if you have a certain vision for something, he's the guy. For that dirty, kind of tingy, Grindhouse kind of look. I can see him being the guy you call.
I see.
Why is he so good at making cheap movies look badass?
I don't know. He's good with his imagination. He has a dream and he delivers.
Would this movie have worked without Rodriguez directing it?
Well, I don't know.
I don't know if it could. What would it be if a Tarantino directed this version, like a version of this film? I don't know if it'd be the same.
I don't think it would be like ee, ee, ee.
No, I don't know that, but I don't know if it could be
a little
pulled
bit
off.
more polished, and maybe the monsters would have looked different.
Yeah, yeah, maybe. I don't know. Yeah, just interesting. And then we have the writer from Dusk Till Dawn, and that's Quentin Tarantino, did the screenwriting. This was his first paid screenwriting gig.
Yeah, $1,500.
Yeah.
Isn't that nuts?
And didn't he do this why'd he do it though?
So he did the screenwriting. So the other person that gets story credits is Robert Kurtzman.
Yeah.
So,
which he does the effects too.
He does effects. So the story for this movie was Tarantino wanted practical effects for Reservoir Dogs.
Yeah.
And the group, there's this group, KNBFX group, made up of Gregory Nicotero, who does Walking Dead, Howard Berger, and then Kurtzman. So they did practical effects, and Tarantino approached Kurtzman and said, hey, I want practical effects for Reservoir Dogs. And he said, sure, I'll do them for you if you turn this story that I wrote into a screenplay, which was From Dusk Till Dawn. So Tarantino took it, he did turn it into a script, and then essentially turn it into the movie. And in return, when they were ready for Reservoir Dogs, KNBFX group went and did the practical effects, and essentially this became his first paid script.
Yeah.
And
so Robert Kurtzman, that's fascinating. So some of his credits, he was in Evil Dead 2, like he did the effects for that. The People Under the Stairs, which we'll cover at some point. Army of Darkness, Scream in 96, which we've already covered, and Wishmaster 97, which he also directed. So he's tied into with Greg Nicotero, who also did effects for this movie, right?
Yeah. So yeah, the group went and did effects for this when he was when Kurtzman, because he left the group in 2003. When he was in there, he worked a lot with Tarantino's movies. And then they did, I have for their credits, this practical effects group has done over 400 projects. And then Nicotero and Berger met while working with Savini on Day of the Dead.
Yeah.
And
then most of you know, you younger folks will know Greg Nicotero. He is the Walking Dead. He does the zombies in that.
Yeah, and then eventually they ended up going and doing practical effects for Evil Dead 2, Intruder, Nightmare on Elm Street 5, Halloween 5, Misery, that breaking of their feet, that was them. City Slickers, Army of Darkness. Yeah, and then, like I mentioned, he worked a lot with Tarantino, Pulp Fiction, Kill Bill.
Did Tarantino write this just to get a foot in the door? Pun intended.
Pun intended. I think he wrote this scene to get a foot in his mouth.
Yeah, interesting. Yeah. What else do you have?
That's pretty much it. I don't know. I feel like it was a very important movie for a lot of these people. It launched a lot of careers. You know, Salma, Clooney, KNBFX group, they thought the practical effects were kind of dead because there was a lot of CGI going on starting to happen. But, you know, due to this, like, relationships that they're growing with Tarantino, Savini, they just kind of made him a little bit stronger and made it to where they could still have a job, essentially, making practical effects.
Interesting.
Interesting.
Cool. Well, with that, should we take a quick break?
Sure.
All right. We will be right back. Hey folks, this episode of Horror Cinema Obsession is brought to you by our sponsor, Audios Express. Are you looking to start a new life? Want a slice of that so-called dream? Tired of being called a criminal, an illegal, a lowlife, or a drug smuggler? Funny how they never say that when it's a hedge fund guy moving offshore. At Audios Express, we don't care where you're from or why you're running. We only care that you're ready to go. Whether you're escaping cartel violence, corporate greed, persecution, or prosecution, we've got you covered. We offer discreet border crossings for anyone, from anywhere. If you're going southbound into Mexico, northbound into the U.S., eastbound into Canada, hell, if they build a wall on the moon, we'll get you over that too. Our elite relocation team provides new identities, proper documents, and premium escape routes. No more of the cages, no ankle monitors, no wait your turn speeches, because freedom isn't a lottery ticket, it's a right. Except in America, where it's handed out based on how illegal you look in the sun. So whether you're seeking asylum, dodging extradition, or just tired of being treated less than human, we'll get you where you're going. No judgment, no questions, no borders that can't be crossed. Audios Express, where crossing over isn't a crime, it's a survival. Because some people build walls, but we build back doors. Audios Express is not a real company, and any resemblance to actual smuggling operations, government incompetence, or late-stage capitalism is purely coincidental. Side effects may include new beginnings, fake names, and uncomfortable truths about global inequality. May not be available in the land of the free unless you're rich, white, and carrying golf club membership. Offer not valid in El Rey. Paid for the fictional sponsors of Horror Cinema Obsession. And we're back. So, yeah, give Audios Express a chance if you're trying to leave the country that you reside in. Now, everybody knows this part of the show. If you're a longtime listener. If you're not, this is we write a personal plot to the movie. Each time it's unique to the person. Angelus writes one and I write one. And Angelus always goes first.
Because you like to be like, boom, I smoke your plot. Your plot sucks. Mine's good.
No. I love all the work you do.
All I hear dies. Anyways, your favorite part of the show. Plot. I have a thief and a perv on the run after their last heist hatch a plan to make it down to Mexico and escape law enforcement. Leaving a trail of dead people on the way, they kidnap a faithless preacher and his 2 kids, to use them as a disguise to sneak it over the border. They make their way down and land at the titty twister, where you can find all kinds of pussy and even have a foot or two shoved in your mouth. Whatever you like. What appears to be your run-of-the-mill topless bar quickly turns to be a secret lair for vampires. But behold, as these are not your typical vampires. Oh no. They have rodent-looking vampires, strong, naked, serpent-like, whatever you want, they got it. This becomes the next test for Seth and Richie before they can reach their happily ever after. From Dusk Till Dawn is the perfect combo between action and quirky horror, where we can experience the multi-talents of Cheech as he tricks you into believing he's 3 different characters each time you see him on screen. The end.
Okay. You want blue on this one, using the P word.
That's blue? What does that mean?
Wow. I tried to refrain a little bit.
He said it. I'm gonna.
I know. Hey, that's okay. I like it. Good job.
Punani.
Okay.
Is that better?
So, yes. Chocha. Here we go. Here's my plot. 2 outlaw brothers, one slick, the other is psycho, kidnap a preacher and his kids, hijack their RV, and head for Mexico. Clooney's rocking a tribal tattoo that looks like it came free with a Slim Jim, and Tarantino wrote himself into a scene where Salma Hayek pours tequila down her leg because that fits. They roll up to a bar called the Titty Twister, and Cheech Marin shows up 3 times. Once as a border patrol, once as a yelling about women's anatomy, and once a cartel contact. It's pretty much a Cheech-a-palooza, if you ask me. And then bam, there's vampires, limbs fly, bodies explode, and Tom Savini turns from sex machine into a giant rat dog vampire. Somewhere in the chaos, Kate blows up her own brother like it's no big deal. Family drama, but it's made with supernatural tendencies. What starts as a Tarantino crime spree turns into a Rodriguez bloodbath.
Beautiful. Yeah, like how you were so polite.
The female anatomy.
And I'm like, pussy.
Oh my God. Well, just in case parents like to listen to this in the car, and then their kids, when they're dropping them off at school, you just drop that P-bomb all over
Is
it.
the podcast rated R on the...
Explicit, but I try to refrain. We drop F-bombs here. I'm not trying to censor you in any way, but I'm just saying. What's next? The C word?
C. U. P. Cup?
Stop it.
I said cup.
Vulgar. Vulgar.
What?
No, but good plot. Good job, kid.
Thanks, Spark.
Sparky. Sport.
You did not like that the other day. Is it a line? I don't, even after watching the second time, I don't remember. Spark.
I know one line. He's like, "We're just a couple of mean motor scooters." George Clooney says that. Stupid. All right. So here's our final segment. Well, I guess that's not true. We have Vienna's Review Corner always. But here is the segment we like to call Moments That Matter in the movie. Instead of a scene-for-scene breakdown and dragging you through every single blood-soaked scene in this tequila-fueled fever dream, we're boiling it down to just the moments that matter. The ones that had us laughing, screaming, or asking, did Cheech Marin just pop up again? So, yeah. I mean, to start it off, though, in the movie, basically, we start off at the gas station, right?
Mm-hmm.
I forgot what it was called,
Oh, Benny's World of Liquor.
Yeah, what's happening? Walk us through it.
We see the sheriff comes in, make a conversation with the guest attendant. We don't know what's going on there.
You get a sense that they're, longtime friends.
Yeah, they know each other.
Yeah, acquaintances.
They're buddies.
They have a routine, it looks like.
And then, so the sheriff goes to use the restroom, and then this is where we get introduced to our main characters, Richie and Seth Gecko. And they have 2 girls as hostages with them.
Mm-hmm.
And this is where we start to see and get introduced to the characters. Clearly, George Clooney is a bad MFer. with his tattoo.
Bad Mama Jamma.
And then Richie, he's like, oh, the thing he's whispering to fucking Seth. And I was like, why? He's a grown-ass man. Why can't he just tell the attendant whatever he wants to say?
Yeah. So this too, I'm trying to put myself in 1996. It is kind of a shock in this movie where initially they shoot the sheriff. You don't expect them to shoot an authority figure like that right off the bat. Or I didn't, at least.
Yeah, they're like, just get rid of the problem.
So I think that was part of the Tarantino charm at the time was, oh my God, this guy is cutting edge. This is kind of stuff. It's vulgar, direct, sharp. So this kind of adds to that. And then the scene too, you're quickly thrown in or thrusted into a scene where it's high tension right off the bat. So but even before you see the Gecko Brothers, there's something ain't right. Why are we seeing this? But then we see him go to the bathroom, the sheriff, and then they come out and they're trying to, they're like, hey, get the sheriff out of here right away. And like you're saying, this is where we first see Richie kind of have his psychotic moment because he's tipping him off. The gas clerk to the sheriff.
But the conversation we saw, guy was just having a normal conversation of how's your day going.
And it's kind of funny, this interaction, because they're arguing like kids. He's like, no, and he's like, yeah, huh? And he's like, I should win a fucking Oscar for this performance. I was kind of laughing. It's a light moment and kind of a dark
what
scene.
Happens, yeah.
So they get back to, he's like, man, get rid of that sheriff, right? And before you know it, Richie shoots the sheriff in the head. Mm-hmm. And they start arguing again, like, I didn't tip him off, and it turns in more stressful. At this point, Richie shoots him in the chest, right? Or the shoulder.
Yeah.
And he lands on the ground. He breaks open a safe. The clerk does, and grabs a gun himself. And they're still arguing. And at this point, Richie gets shot in his hand. The girls are out, the hostages, and they're in a situation that I think sets up Seth to be cool. This is a cool scene.
Oh, yeah.
Because he's like, Richie, shoot all the beer, all the
alcohol bottles.
Yeah, behind him. He's like, okay, I got it. And he starts shooting, because then we see the hand too. Some of the special effects initially, you see a hole through his hand.
Huge hole through his hand.
I thought that was awesome.
And he's just like, oh, I have a hole. It's bleeding a ton.
Yeah.
Whatever.
So he starts firing at the alcohol. And then we see Clooney's character, Seth. He kicks the stand, and then a piece of toilet paper roll falls down. He starts lighting that with kerosene or whatever. Mm-hmm. And he lights on a fire, throws it over. The clerk's down. And then all of a sudden, the clerk is on fire. And this time they're still arguing. They're like, holy shit. And then the gas station clerk still gets up and he's on fire. I thought this was pretty cool. Natural effects too. No CGI. This was a stuntman in a fire retardant suit getting up, acting like he's shooting him. And then I thought this was comical. As he's burning up, he lands in popcorn. And starts popping.
The crackling, yeah.
I thought that was awesome. That was pretty good. Pretty good with utilizing that.
Yeah, and they leave. Seth's pissed because he wanted to keep a low profile. Clearly, they're escaping.
Well, and they blow up a gas station.
Yeah. And he's mad that you see him drive away. And this is the scene where you mentioned that we don't know it. But then they have a lady kidnapped in the trunk of a car.
And I don't know where they got her. From the bank initially?
I think so.
I don't know who the two other girls were. They must have been in the gas station or something.
But they make it back to the hotel.
They go to a hotel. So their whole thing is they're trying to go to the border. They end up going to El Paso and staying in a motel there.
So they get there, they get a room, and Seth, essentially, he's gonna go get food, and he's still upset about that what was supposed to be a quick thing turned into such a big chaotic. Now they have, obviously police looking for them for even more reasons, more killings, more attention.
Because they get in the motel, they sit the hostage down. He's pissed at Richie, Seth is, and he's like, you know what? I gotta go scope it out, and he's gonna go scope the border out and kind of come up with a plan. At this point, he's talking to the hostage. He's like, hey, you're gonna get out of this if you stay calm, don't say shit, and my bullets run faster than you can. So do not do anything dumb and you'll get out of this. You have my word. And then he leaves them, Richie and her, back there. So Richie ends up going to the bedroom and he wants to watch TV. And he tells her, hey, come sit by me. And that's the end of that scene, right?
I thought it was weird. He's like, come on, sit with me on the bed. And I was like, the fuck?
Yeah, and she's an older lady. And then later, Seth comes back, Clooney's character, and he's got burgers. I mean, he's discussing the plan. He's like, okay, we got to do this, this, and this. And then he pulls out an extra burger, and he's like, whoa, wait a minute. You realize this is because the burger was for the hostage. She wasn't there. Mm-hmm. He's like, whoa, where is she? And then Richie's like, oh, she's in the room. And then Seth goes there. It's a pretty dramatic scene. This is where you see that Seth and Richie aren't the same people. Like, clearly, Seth has different standards and morals. A little bit more than Richie does, right?
Yeah, and, you know, he's clearly upset, and he's like, dude, he's like, this is not, like we briefly talked about, this is not Seth's character. He's like, I'm a thief.
Yeah, I
don't kill people if I don't have to, and nor do I rape women. I think this was one of those big scenes that kind of stood out for me because we clearly see, like, oh shit, it wasn't just him being quirky at the gas station. Like, there's something clearly wrong with this guy. And then previously, there was on the TV, they were talking about how they escaped, how many people they had killed. And when they showed Richard's face, it says that he was a criminal and a former sex offender. And essentially, he helped his brother Seth escape.
Yeah, we don't know the details of that, but that he did help him escape.
Yeah, and I was like, oh shit. Like, because, you know, Richard really is fucking crazy. He's a rapist and just a killer, just cold-blooded. Clearly, there's something not right up in his head.
Yeah, and then that shows it. The lady, she has a family because earlier they say she has like 4 or 5 kids. And yeah, and Seth's kind of tore up about it, but he wants to move forward. He pretty much pins Richie to the wall and says, look, you stupid fuck, to get out of this, we got to do this, and you can't do this anymore. We have standards.
He hugs him. You can tell he feels for him, and he's like, it'll be better when we get away from here.
Yeah, when we get to El Rey, everything will be good, which that's like positive thinking, but let's be real, that's not what's going to happen.
No.
But then we cut to a family of 3, Jacob, the preacher or ex-preacher, and then his 2 kids. They're eating food, right?
Mm.
Jacob's tired.
Yeah.
And he's like, you know what? I need a nice night's sleep. I'm going to go to the motel in El Paso, and then we'll drive to Mexico when I wake up. So they end up getting there, and coincidentally, they run into Seth. And Seth's drinking a beer, just standing right in the middle of the road and just staring at him.
Yeah, and they're like, what the hell, is wrong with this guy, essentially? Because he won't move. And he just stares him down. I think he was scoping him, like,
the gears were turning. He's like, oh, this is my escape. This is our way to get across the border.
Yeah, so we see Jacob is taking a nap.
Yeah, he's laying there.
Scott's playing
guitar quietly, and then the daughter, Juliette Lewis's character, Kate, she mentioned going to the pool. That's where she's at.
Yeah, and
we get a knock on the door, and it's Richie, Tarantino's character, and he's like, hey, me and my lady friend, we don't have an ice bucket. We were wondering if we can borrow yours.
My question was, go to the fucking front desk.
Right?
Why go to another room? I would have been like, no, call front desk.
But Jacob's tired. He's like, yeah, whatever, okay. And then he turns around to grab it, and now Richie pulls out his gun. He has him at gunpoint, and then this is where Seth comes in and punches Jacob right in the face. And he's setting it up. They're pretty much putting their demands out. Like, don't be stupid. We'll blow your kid's head off.
Mm-hmm.
I thought this was a pretty extreme scene too, because I don't think at this point you've seen this kind of intensity in a movie before, like this hardcore, because they put that gun in that kid's mouth.
Oh yeah.
And this is a kid, make no mistake, like 19 years old. This what's his name?
Scott.
Yeah, Scott. The actor who plays him is really young, you can tell.
Oh, yeah.
Pretty intense scene. He takes that gun and moves him with the gun in his mouth to the bed.
Mm-hmm.
And again, so he's putting his demands, and they ask if they're a couple of fags. And Jacob's like, no, it's my son. He's like, yeah, right. He's Japanese. And he's like, you're wrong. He's Chinese.
He looks Chinese.
Now, I don't think you get away with that line, racist and homophobic
No.
in today's standards. But you know what? It was entertaining, and it was a point in time in the in culture that was okay. I thought it was kind of entertaining. So did you, right?
Yeah.
Not that it's okay, but.
And then Kate comes to the room, so they're like, oh shit, there's 3 of you.
And this scene's big because now we see Pervy. This pretty much solidifies Crazy and Richie, because she's in there in the towel. He's enamored. He can't take his eyes off her. And you see him in the background. You don't see him as a vocal point yet, but you see him in the background just staring at her while Seth is giving his orders.
Yeah, there's this serious conversation. You guys are going to take us to Mexico to help us escape, and you're not going to do shit. And all that's going through Richie's mind is imagining that Kate turns to him.
Well, Kate turns to him and she's like, will you eat
me out? And he's like, yes.
Yeah, he's like, yes. But in that, we see it cutting to Seth where he's still having the normal conversation.
Yeah.
In reality, he's like, hey, Richie, go pull the RV
like, are you
over.
listening? Yeah.
Go pull the RV around, and tries to throw him the key. And then he yells at him and snaps him out of it. He's like, oh, yeah. And goes and does it. And this point, Seth sees it. He knows what happened previously. Mm-hmm. So he's like, oh, shit. He's like, go get some clothes on, cover up.
Yeah.
And then also Jacob sees this as well, her dad. He's concerned. And he's like, no, fuck this. I'm not going to do this. And starts walking out. And then he's like, nope, I'm going to blow both your kids' heads off if you don't
all
do
3 of
this.
them are going because he offered to go alone with them. And they're like, no.
Yeah.
So now they're on the RV on the road. And Kate, so it's Seth and Jacob on the front. Seth is, essentially threatening Jacob to keep driving, telling him, instructing him where to go, how to go. Mm-hmm. And Richard is supposed to be in the back watching Scott and Kate. And Kate's like, excuse me, where are we going? And Richie's like, Mexico, to see Mexicans. I'm stupid.
Mexico to see Mexicans.
And then the other fucking funny part is that he's like, Richie, put in your retainer. And you guys were like, Angela.
And he had a
he
list.
takes out his little clip. And he's like, I grind my teeth.
I grind my teeth. I thought that was pretty funny too. It was not needed, but it was hilarious.
Badass killer, fucking pedophile dude who has he needs to be reminded to put on his retainer. Like, there's so much going on. Like, they're being hunted down by the FBI, and the concern is put your retainer on.
Well, because he has an overbite or whatever.
But still, like, I feel like that would be the last thing on my mind.
Yeah, and then again, he's still having the delusion. He's like, "Hey, what you said in the hotel?" It's like, "I still will do that for you." Yeah,
she's like, "The fuck are you talking about?"
And she's like, "I don't know." And then Seth's like, "Hey, shut the fuck up! Don't talk to them." And then they come up. Seth and Jacob come up to a deal. They're like, "Look, you get me here. You hang out for the night. I will let you guys free, and I will keep Richie off your daughter. I know you've seen that, and I've seen it too." And he's like, "Fair enough."
And then we go into one of the first scenes because it goes back to Richie and the kids. And Richie's just staring at Kate up and down. And then we see the camera start focusing on her feet, over and over again as she's wiggling her toes.
Yeah, and he's like, "Oh my God." So at this point, they reach the border. And they're about to cross. This is where Jacob's freaking out. He's like, "I don't know if I could do this." And he's like, "No, here's what's going to happen." He's like, "Scott, get up here with your dad. You guys are traveling here. We're going to go hide with Kate in the bathroom. Don't fuck it up." Scott immediately wants to rat it out. Like, "Yo, I've seen TV. What all the law enforcement says is you have to say it immediately, know when you can exit right away, as soon as possible." And Jacob's like, "Fuck you. What about your sister? You're crazy. Just trust me on this. We're going to get through it." And at this point, we see Cheech's first character, the Border Patrol, right?
Yeah.
he's answering questions, and Jacob already looks sus. So he's like, what the hell? And then he hears a bump in the back, and at first Jacob's like, it's just me and my son traveling. And then he's like, oh, and my daughter back there. And he's like, you just said it was just you and your son. And he's like, let me come on board. And he gets on there. At this point, Seth and Richie are arguing because Seth's like, shut the fuck up. You're being crazy. Shut up. And he's like,
a nut, yeah.
He's like, I'm not a nut. Why would you say that unless you believed it? This is a stopping point for me.
Let it go.
And at this point, Seth, I thought was pretty funny. He's like, fuck this. You need to shut the fuck up. We've all been like this. I feel like I've been like this with my siblings, and just fucking boom, punches him or hits him with his gun. Yeah, knocks him out. So they get some quiet. And then the funny part was Kate was like, oh, thank you.
She was tired of it too.
Yeah, he's like, Jesus. So they come on board and they knock on the door. It's the bathroom. She's like, I'm in here. And she's like, you can open it. And she's sitting on the toilet.
With her underwear down.
And at this, it shows the character of Cheech's Border Patrol character being kind of pervy. And obviously he's a creep and bad guy, but he like looks her up and down and like smiles. He's like, oh yeah.
She's like going to the bathroom here. And he slowly closes the door as he's checking her out.
Yeah. Yeah, he's a bad dude. I thought this was leading to him getting shot or something, but it didn't. He gets off, and I don't know what else happens.
So they cross the border. Seth tells Jacob how to get to that bar. And as they're on their way, Richard wakes up, and he's like, oh, what happened? And he's like, I don't know. You just passed out.
Oh, yeah.
And he said, you said your hand hurt and you were out. He's like, but, we're almost there, and we're going to get to it today.
Right. And he gives him his broken glasses. He starts melting down again. He's like, shut the fuck up. You're ruining a good thing here. We're in Mexico. Stop your bitching. And so they end up driving a ways, right?
Yeah, so they finally make it. There's like bonfires outside going on. And this is where we see Cheech numb for the second time. And I was like, oh, shit.
Well, yeah, they roll up and this place is just, you can tell, like, it's a he's an ex-preacher or whatever. And he's like, what the fuck?
And we see Cheech announcing that they're selling.
And the sign, the big old sign, it just shows a lady and it's a neon sign, and her nipples getting twisted.
I didn't see that.
It was twisting it. They roll up. He's like, I think we're here. And then they roll up, and we see Cheech. He's got long hair, a goatee, and I thought this scene went a little bit longer than it had to.
Long, but it was funny. He's announcing that they sell female genitalia, as Richard would call it.
Anatomy.
But he's getting very descriptive with it.
Yeah, he's like, we got cow, we got chicken, we got dog, we got everything. And at the end, he's like, if you don't want that, fuck it. It just plays a total weirdo.
Yeah, so they said, like, okay, we're going to play cool. Everybody's going to keep it together.
And we're going to drink the night away.
Yeah. And the other thing
the whole thing is this place is open until dawn.
Cheech says that they can even get it for a penny.
Yeah.
And they try to get in and he stops them. I don't know if he's going to ask them something because they didn't even give Cheech a chance to say whatever it was he was trying to say, and then Seth immediately just punches him.
Well, he goes to stop him, and he's like, whoa. And because he's like, ooh, that's some American pie. Punani. Okay. Yeah, he's like, and then Seth's like, what the fuck? Boom. Not that he was saying it, but he didn't want any trouble. So he just immediately wants to say, hey, I'm a badass. I'm here. Don't fuck with us.
Yeah. And on top of it, Richard turns around and he kicks him. He's like, fuck you, man.
Yeah.
So you walk in and
he kicks him. He's like, have a nice day.
This was shocking to me at first because it was like you get in there and it's all these girls in like random different places around this bar, on walls, on tables. They're all braless, and I was like, oh, okay. And then there's like a rock band dressed as a mariachi playing, and their lyrics were fucking hilarious because they made
Someone wrote
sense.
Those.
And it was just like fumando marihuana, smoking weed, and it was like buscando una fiesta, looking for a party. I was like, what the fuck?
Well, they do they do stupid lyrics too when Richie's sitting in the car too. They have radio at the motel. Something about a dog dying, and it was dumb lines, but they did that too in the bar with this band.
Mariachi band, yeah. So they get there, they approach the bar top, and then we see Danny telling him, hey, we're not going to serve you. This bar is exclusively for bikers and truckers. And he's like, so I need you guys to leave. And Seth is not like this at all. He's immediately
he's like, what the fuck? And then another guy, the security guard, puts his hands on him.
oh, yeah.
And he really don't like this. He's like, oh, you better get your hands off me, bitch.
Yeah, but Jacob is like, hey, you said we all have to be cool. That means you too.
Yep, and we're truckers. Or
Yeah.
I'm a trucker. I got my Class B. He's like, you'll look outside, you'll see my recreational vehicle. And his camper.
And all badass.
And then that's Trejo, the bartender. He's like, yeah, okay. What do you want to drink? And then he's like, tequila, the bottle of tequila. Excuse me. But then he's like, do you want something to eat? He's like, sure, what do you got? He's like, we got the best Mexican food around. He's like, I highly doubt that. And Trejo's insulted.
But he still wants them to send over a
Menus,
server so they
yeah.
can take their order. And then the server never makes it over to their table.
Nope.
And then we see Savini's character. He like steals a beer from another dude with a whip. That's his thing in
The
this
guy's
movie.
like, hey. And then the guy's like, I'm going to fuck you up. And then Savini's just casually sitting there. And he's got his like legs open. And then all of a sudden, his crotch gun pops out. And it looks like a dick and balls.
Two barrels.
And he smiles. He's like, huh? And then it just retracts by itself.
Yeah. Where the fuck does he put it? And where does it go?
I swear to God, I wish they would have used this in the movie. Like he's just thrust in, like shooting would have been hilarious.
Yeah, I want to know how he makes it go. Does he actually have to reach with his finger or like what?
Yeah.
And then
I think a thrust would do it.
that would, you gotta walk carefully with that if a thrust is all it takes to shoot it off. And then the other song, the mariachis goes for another song. They're singing Mary Had a Little Lamb.
No, that's not them. That was Stevie Ray Vaughan. That's a real song.
Well, they were covering it.
No, they weren't supposed
was?
to. It was just the song playing.
Oh.
Yeah.
So we see them at the table, the gang, and then Seth is really pushing. He's trying to have a good time. He wants everybody to have a good time with him.
But he's still stewing, but he does give a shot to Kate and then eventually Scott.
Mm-hmm.
And they drink it, but he is stewing. He's angry, you can tell. And Jacob's like, hey, man, what are you still pissed about? He's like, that dude put his hands on me. I fucking hate that. He's like, man, you can't tell when you won. You're such a loser. You don't know when you've won.
Mm-hmm.
And that really hits home to him. He's like, oh, man.
Yeah.
And you could tell he stops him for a sec. He's like, you know what? You're right. He's like, I want you to have a drink with me. Jacob gets through to Seth. I think that's what they're trying to show.
Mm-hmm.
Like, Seth really listens to Jacob. He's like, fuck, this guy knows what he's talking about.
Yeah. And then we see Danny introduces the coolest, baddest fucking dancer around. Satanico Pandemonium.
Yeah. So the night continues. And yes, what a cool name, too. Satanico
Did
Pandemonium.
you know it's a real Mexican horror movie from the 70s?
Oh, really?
Yeah, Satanico Pandemonium. It's a nun. She fights crime or something.
Well, that's pretty cool, but that's a badass
That's why they
name.
gave her the name.
And what an intro
Yeah.
to Salma Hayek. This scene is iconic. I think anybody who remembers, like, I think you think Salma Hayek, you think of this movie, at least for me on the state side.
Yeah.
And man, coming in with that huge ass python.
Apparently she was like terrified of snakes.
I would be terrified too.
She had to get like a few counseling therapies to talk her into it. And at one time,
you could tell she's not moving. Like there's certain things where it fucks up in the movie, and it shows her like moving weird, but it's because the snake's on her, and she's kind of panicking.
At one point, it was like in her crotch. I was like, "How are you walking?" And it's like wrapped up all around her. Yeah, and I guess Rodriguez was like, if you don't do it, I'm going to reach out to Madonna and cast her. And she's like, no, I'll do it. So she pushed through.
Oh, God.
First, she comes up with the cape dancing, and she keeps like opening and closing this cape. And then the python appears around her neck.
Yeah. And then, so, man, and you said she was 30 years old?
Yeah.
God, she's young, she's gorgeous. It's like, how is she not, like, at this point in time, how come she didn't break through?
Yeah.
Other than being stereotyped and typecasted.
Mm-hmm.
There's no reason. I mean, what are other actresses in that time? Julia Roberts? I mean, there's other gorgeous actresses, but she's pretty gorgeous. She could be on the top bill, I feel like.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? But the scene's iconic because she is dancing, I think, provocatively, like, and it is uneasy. And you even mentioned it in your research. George Clooney was having a hard time making eye
it
contact.
was so funny. So she makes her way over to their table in specific. She's standing. The one funny thing that keeps happening is we see that character Frost. He's playing with like dominoes, trying to stack them, and he keeps having girls walk on his table and tumble them over, and he's just like, he has this defeated look every time, and he has to start over again. I'm like, there's naked girls in here with their boobs out, and you're concerned about your little domino tower.
He's all about he's a man's man.
It was funny.
I didn't catch that until you showed me that. I was like, oh, that's funny.
Yeah, his face every time he's like,
motherfucker. And then she's working her way. They're front and center, Seth and the table, right?
Yeah, so she's dancing on their table. And she does this for a while. So this dance goes for a while. And it was super funny because the way that they're sitting, she's facing Richard up front. And then it just sitting behind her is George Clooney's character. So he's sitting right behind her. And she's like in a bikini. And she's supposed to be this very sensual, gorgeous woman dancing. Yeah. And all eyes are supposed to be on her.
And she is, but I can know being uncomfortable with this because her ass is right. It's in his sightline.
And it was funny because he's trying, like, there were scenes where he would look up, but he looked so uncomfortable. So he would look at Jacob. He would look at, like, the characters next to him.
Yeah.
And then he would look at, he was having a hard time, like, keeping his eyes on her rear. It was pretty funny.
Well, I mean, she's pretty exposed to what is it, the bikini or whatever she's in.
Yeah, she's in a bikini.
It is tight.
Yeah, but he's a thief. Come on, he's supposed to be enjoying
as
this.
The character. He should have been looking. But I get, as an actor and being a professional, I'd be like, oh man, this is uncomfortable.
Yeah, and again, I think just because this in specific went on for so long, he was like stare at it and then look down and then stare at it and look at other people around him.
And credit to Salma Hayek for doing this scene because it'd be so hard not to be in your head about it. Like, oh my God, all these people are watching me.
Yeah, and then her being her big role.
Yeah, and I get it. She's gorgeous, right? You should have confidence for days. Who knows if we would, but like, I would still be self-conscious being that, like, you're naked basically. You just got like string like covering you up, right?
Yeah, so she grabs the bottle that they have and then she pours it like down her leg.
What a cool move, by the way.
And she just lifts her leg and shoves it in Richie's mouth and he happily obeys. And she's like pouring the liquor and it's going down her leg and into his mouth and just running. And she goes down, kisses him, pushes him around a little bit. So
he's digging it.
Oh, he's loving this. I had heard about.
He got all the toes in his mouth.
He has a big mouth. So I had heard before Vienna, I think she was like, Tarantino has a foot fetish, and I was like, really? But I've never put attention to it, and I was like, oh shit, it's real.
Yeah. Well, like we said, he plays into it.
Yeah.
Now.
So, and this is funny because as soon as like he's like, I'm saying in my head that as soon as his wish is fulfilled, he lets his character die. Here comes in Cheech, and he's fucking pissed because they beat him up outside, and he's like, that's them over there. And Satanico Pandemonium, she sees that and she backs up a little bit. She knows that a fight's about to break out.
Yeah, they get in a fight and things simmer down because people are shot. Cheech got shot. And at this point, I think Richie's talking to Seth. They're kind of arguing.
Well, the other thing, they shot at Richie and the bullet went right through the hole in his hand. That was pretty funny.
Not the bullet. He got stabbed at the table.
And it just
went
went
dead center
through, and he's just like,
Yeah, he's like, But so after the fight is done, Satanico Pandemonium is behind Richie, and all of a sudden she bites him.
Well, as they were fighting, she was smelling the blood, and you can tell she was sniffing.
That's right. His hand's in the air, and he's bleeding. She's like licking her lips. She's like, oh my God.
And she's moving her nose. She's smelling it.
Yeah, and then we see her first transition, and how do you like the vampires in this movie?
It was funny. I didn't find it scary, and I was like, oh shit, it's not because she looks like a lizard.
That's like what I got. She looked more like a snake lizard thing than a vampire. But it's their version of vampires. But not all vampires followed the same trait. They all kind of look different. You notice that?
Yes. Oh, in this movie, yeah. There's a lot of different versions of the vampires.
They couldn't decide on one
Which
kind of look.
one? Or they wanted to show off and be like, look what all we can do.
Well, the effects people clearly are having fun. Nicotero and them. But yeah, she then turns in and she then bites Richie in the neck.
Then the other girls like just automatically also turn into vampires. Essentially, everybody was there, but it was interesting because some look like lizards. Some of them still have like their human form, but they look like monsters, kind of, just like the elongated features, like long noses.
It was just a hodgepodge of different
fangs, like bulky shoulders.
Right.
Yeah, and so it turned into a very, very long fight scene.
Savini, it's a sex machine. He's on the pool table, and then he ends up choking out Trejo.
The one that I thought was funny was Frost. He grabs 4 vampires, and this thing goes fast, and he's just like dropping him on he flips the table over, and he puts him through the legs. Yeah.
Yeah, it's funny. They're having fun with killing all these vampires. They're trying to think of creative ways.
Other fun thing, you turn around, they turn the camera to the band. Now the band is also vampires, and the guitar is a fucking torso.
The torso, the heads at the bottom, and somehow there's strings.
Yeah, attached to it.
And they're playing it like not skipping a beat.
Nope.
All the instruments are body parts. And they're still partying and playing music while they're jamming. But at this time, things simmer down, right? And then they're like, let's kill this fucking band. And then they turn into bats and fly away.
Yeah, essentially that. And then it gets to the scene where Selma and Seth are in a fight. Seth is fight because he killed her brother. She has him on the floor and she's like, I'm going to turn you into my slave. She's like, you're going to be my footstool, my dog. You're going to lick dog shit. You're just talking shit.
Yeah, you're not going to have human blood. You're going to drink dog blood.
Yeah, and so he shoots the chandelier above her and it falls on her and that's it. So to me, that was another one. Like, that's it. I don't know. The way they introduced her, I thought she was going to be way more powerful. Yeah. It seemed like the other people in the bar respected her.
I could see her being like the lead.
Yeah, I thought she was a lead, and then she died from a chandelier.
Yeah, got impaled.
Right away too. I thought usually like the big main bad guys make it to the end, and then they have a dramatic death.
Yeah,
but not her.
This one didn't really have a main bad guy.
No, and then this is where we see Frost. He comes to help, and he punches that big security dude. And takes his heart out.
Well, because he's coming after Seth, and he's like, whoa, we might have a problem here. He's like, he's no longer mad at the guy because he can't kill him.
Yeah.
And then, the Frost, he's big. He's like, watch this. And then he does his karate move. That was classic. I love that. So during this time in 96, I believe we had Dumb and Dumber come out.
Okay.
And Jim Carrey did the same thing in a dream sequence in that movie. So very,
similar.
Around the same time, yeah.
Comedy.
Yeah, hilarious.
The one thing I thought was funny too is how the security guy is not dying; he's just laying on the floor. So Savini comes with the pencil and stabs it, and that's how they kill him.
So they're figuring out. They're like, "Holy shit, vampires! I don't believe in vampires, but hey, man, I believe my eyes, and that's what I'm seeing."
Yeah, and then there's they essentially kill the last vampires that are left those were girls, and Kate and Scott come out and help them, and then they kill him and they light up, and then all of a sudden all the bodies that are dead from the vampires, they light on fire, and they try to go opening the main doors and realize that they're locked.
Well, they don't light them on fire, they just catch fire. They
catch fire,
spontaneously combust.
So they realize that they're locked in there, and
they realize that there's vampires all around the building trying to get in. They're like, holy shit, we gotta lock this place up.
No, that was before. So that's just after, because then when they're fighting, the band, or after this scene, they realize that they're locked in, and then they realize that the band is still there, and the band disappears. They leave. And then Seth goes and finds Richie, that he's dead.
Yeah.
And then Seth is giving him a speech, telling him that he loves him, blah, 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 blah. And then this is when we see the humans that were killed are now turning into vampires themselves.
We gotta kill all these guys. They're turning.
Yeah, and so Richie transforms.
He's probably the worst looking vampire.
And Frost and Sabine are trying to fight him, and Seth doesn't want them to kill him. It's still his brother, and then it takes him a second, but then he realizes it's no longer his brother, so he just has Frost and Sabine hold him, and then he kills him.
Right.
He takes a stake through the heart, and then this is when we hear noises surrounding the bar, and it's vampires all around him.
Right.
But they can't get in.
Well, they fortify it. Like, a funny part too is Jacob like shoved body parts into the holes.
That was pretty funny. And then we see more and more of these humans that are dead turning into vampires. The one that I thought was ridiculous is that torso that's crawling around towards Kate.
Oh,
she does not
legs.
see it or hear it, and he's so loud and growling as he's coming at her. She doesn't notice until he almost bit her leg.
And then, that was Sex Machine came and saved her. But they go to kill bodies, and that's why Sex Machine was watching Kate kill one. He's like, gives her a thumbs up, and then one of the vampires reach up and bites him.
Mm-hmm.
Now he's infected.
Oh, yeah.
But then he quickly goes to hide. He's like, oh. And then he puts his jacket on. I thought Tom Savini throughout this whole thing was funny. His facial expressions were hilarious.
Yeah, so then they brainstorm, like, how are we going to kill all these new vampires? And as this is happening, Seth is like, okay, Jacob, you're like a priest. Maybe you can protect us.
You're our best weapon.
Being a fucking security cat and like come up and be the main dude.
Yeah.
And he's like, you need to get your faith back, essentially.
Yeah.
He's like, maybe you can get your powers back and start blessing some water because it's a weapon against the vampires. And they're like, what else kills vampires? And they're just trying to see what else they can do. And then Frost goes into a really long scene about telling them of his time in the war.
So it played a comedy too, because he's talking about the dramatic. He's like, there's bodies right and left, and it was just me under all these bodies, all my teammates, and he's like, all I could see was yellow flesh as he's tearing them apart. And in the scene, because it's elongated, they kind of dole him out. They mute it down.
Yeah, that was funny. You can see he's still talking, but you can't hear him.
And then you see
Sex Machine?
No, but Jacob's son, Scott, he looks back. Sex Machine's sweating. And then all of a sudden, he's like, huh? And he's got teeth. And he's like, oh. And then his expression, he's like, huh? And then he covers his mouth. And then all of a sudden, his hand that's covering his mouth turns into a like vampire hand.
Yeah.
He's like, oh, shoot. And then that's when Scott looks back. He then moves his hands behind his back. He's just looking around like, oh, yeah, this is interesting.
And Frost is still talking.
Yeah.
So we don't see it, but Sex Machine comes from behind and you see little claws crawling up his shoulders like they're going to give him a massage. And then Sex Machine fully turns and bites him on the neck.
Yeah. He's like, God damn it. And then at this point, he throws the body or some.
So he bites him. The rest try to fight Sex Machine and he bites Jacob.
Yeah.
And then at the same time, Frost is like, he fucking bit me. He's in shock. So it's kind of interesting. Like Jacob, up to now, he's been struggling with his faith. He's kind of starting to get a little confidence in himself. And now he got bit and he's dead, essentially.
But now he knows he has to save his family to have a chance. But does he throw Sex Machine's body out the window?
Frost does. He throws Sex Machine on the wall.
Because he turns into a dog. Because at this point, the head gets cut off or whatever, and then he turns into a dog, like a rat dog thing, comes chasing, and then Frost throws him out the window, and they're like, no! And it bursts open, and all these bats come in. And as the bats are coming in, this is by far the cheesiest costume or practical effect is Frost's makeup.
Oh, yeah.
His face is kind of like a vagina face. Like, it's weird looking.
Oh my God.
He's like, huh? And you can tell Frost, the character or the actor who plays him, is not comfortable being in this outfit. He's moving weird and awkward. He can't turn his neck.
But then the Vats kind of listen to him because Seth grabs the kids and starts escaping. Jacob gets left behind and they're running down this long hallway. And Frost like points at them and then the bats follow in that direction to follow them.
Right.
And then Jacob, this is where he finds like a gun and a bat, and he makes a crucifix out of it, and he's using it as the weapon at the same time.
It's like a classic 90s action cheesy.
Yeah, so he's walking around with it, shoots someone, and
he's
then
got
reloads.
the cross to keep him away, and he reloads by the bat cocking the bat.
Yeah.
And which, you know how hard that would be to do that in real life? It just doesn't freely do that.
So he essentially, Jacob does make his way over to where Seth is hiding in like a back room with the kids.
Yeah, he's like, open up, open up.
So they do, and he's like, gives him a rundown. There's like a bunch of random things in that room, but he tells him like, hey, I'm going to turn, so you got to kill me. Either you kill me, either I can stay human for another, however many minutes.
Help you guys get out of here.
Or you can kill me now, and it's just the three of you. So you got a better chance, but regardless, like, he makes them promise that they're going to kill him as soon as he turns.
Right.
And then fucking Seth finds it's like a weird thrusting, like, dagger.
Well, no, it's a jackhammer.
Oh.
And then he's like, you know what? And this wouldn't work in real life, but then he finds a wooden stake and jams it into the jackhammer.
And then they're carving crosses into the bullets. Jacob blesses the water gun that Scott has to turn it into holy water.
Yeah. And he does. He's like, hey, before they open the door, he's like, you got to promise you kill me before I turn, or if I turn. And he's like, make me promise. And the kids are like, I don't want to do it. It's supposed to be like a super intense moment. But it just was kind of like, eh.
Yeah. So then they open the doors, and Jacob is on front. And then we see Sex Machine. He's back with the gang of vampires again. And they're fighting. They're fucking going. Frost, at one point, he comes and he fights Jacob. And then Frost dies.
Well,
and then
no,
Jacob is left up front.
What was cool about the scene is Jacob shoves the shotgun through him, impales him, and then he's like, oh, the shotgun's stuck. And then he keeps loading, like cocking the shotgun with Frost's body as he's shooting other vampires. Mm-hmm. And Frost is just like, oh.
Just taking it.
Yeah, and then all of a sudden he's like, oh, he lets go of the shotgun or whatever for a second, and he melts.
So even they have different, like that. Some of them melt, some of them like combust into fire.
Which I don't know why he did that. I don't know how he died, or was the shotgun holy at that point?
I don't know.
And then also, the rules on it are fast and loose on how they turn, because some turn fast, some turn takes a long time. I think it's convenience of storytelling of how when people turn, because if you look at Jacob, he doesn't turn throughout the whole thing. It wasn't like
well, Richie
fast.
took a long time.
And then Sex Machine was medium, and then Frost was immediate.
Yeah.
Which one could say he got bit in the neck, so it'd be faster. But they played fast and loose because Tarantino's Richie got bit in the neck, and it took forever for him to turn. It wasn't
until Seth found him.
Until they found him. If they didn't find him,
speech.
If they didn't find him in the whole movie, he wouldn't have turned until when they found him. So.
Yeah.
It's convenience of storytelling. I get it, but that was just kind of a turnoff for me. I'm like, oh, this is all this, like, they're just making up the rules. I get it. It's supposed to be fun, but eh.
So now we have Jacob. He's standing, he's ready to give his life to fight these vampires, and they approach him, and then they stop and turn around.
I was hoping Jacob would have like a thing as I walk through the valley of the shadow of death.
Stupid.
You know what I mean? I wish he would do some sort of praying.
Some Boondock Saint shit.
Exactly. You know, that cheesy kind of action kind of sequence. Yeah. Like they're praying.
At the rosary and start shooting them around.
Yeah. I thought that would have been hilarious.
And when he turns around, so they walk away and you're like, oh shit, he's one of them now. And he turns around and Scott's in shock to see his dad as a vampire. He does not react. And of course,
he throws the holy water on Jacob's face and it half is melted and he turns. Jacob does. I thought that was a pretty cool effect. He looked pretty good.
Essentially, he still bites his own son.
Yeah. And then the rest of them.
And then,
I thought that was a cool part of the movie, too, is when Jacob's fighting the vampires, all of a sudden they stop and back away from him. Mm-hmm. And at that point, and you don't see him yet, and he turns around.
That's what I just said, man.
I thought that was pretty good.
I know. It was pretty good, too. And then quickly, all the other vampires come and grab Scott, and they're eating at his flesh. Kate realizes her dad's gone, and now they're eating his brother. And
she has no time to react.
She's trying to like come together and shoot him, and he's like, "Please kill me, Kate."
And she's like, "I
trying.
can't."
So she finally, you said she shoots the water balloons that he has.
Shoots the water balloon, and then he explodes. Yeah.
And so the last two
I was hoping to hear, "Thank you, Kate."
Fade away. So the last two left are Seth and Kate, and they're like, what do we do? Do we save the last bullets for ourselves? And they notice that it's daytime because there's sunlight coming through some of the holes in the building, and they notice that some of the vampires can't approach them because they get burned.
Right.
And so Seth's like, oh, shoot more holes in the building. She starts shooting at random places, which technically it wouldn't work because the sun comes on one side first before it moves, and she's shooting all over.
Right.
And there's light coming from all angles.
Yeah.
And then you think that they're about to go down, and then you hear someone out from being like, hello, I'm Carlos. I'm here for my friend Seth.
Yeah, he's like, shoot the door, open the door. And then they just fire on it, open it, and all of a sudden all these vampires, sunlight hits it, and they all catch fire.
Yeah, so Seth and Kate come out, and they see them, Carlos and his the two guys that he has with him. They see the vampires, they come out, the bar explodes, and Seth punches Carlos, and he's like, why the fuck did you have us meet us here?
Yeah, he's like, have you ever been here? He's like, no.
They set him up, and he's like, I just drive by it, and it's in the middle of nowhere, and I thought one place is as good as the other. He's like, did you see how they were fucking vampires? He's like, why? Were they bad or something? What did he ask?
He's like, what are they, psychos or something?
Yeah, he's like, you didn't fucking see them?
And then he's like, well, you still want to go to El Rey? He's like, okay, and gives them his cut of the money to get him to El Rey. Kate wants to go with Seth, but he's like, no, go home. And he's like, I'm a gentleman. No, just go home.
He's like, what do you think? It's down here. This is not a place for you. So it's like pretty sad. Her mom's dead. Her family's dead. And she
leaves
has to
her
drive back in the middle of nowhere to figure out how to get back.
Oh, yeah.
This was not the GPS days.
So that's the end of their stories. And then the coolest part of the movie, I think, is when it goes backwards. You see behind the building, the titty twister, and it's a big Aztec building. I thought that was awesome. And it's a big pile with debris everywhere from other trucks. And
there's like random junk cars everywhere. There's like a skull, I think, hanging from a post or something. You can tell it's like a dump.
Yeah. Which I thought was pretty good. I thought it was a pretty good ending.
Oh, it was pretty good, man.
And that's the end of the movie. Now, after we talked at length about this, has your opinion of the movie changed?
Slightly.
Slightly?
Yeah.
Good or bad?
Good.
Good? It always is good afterwards. Thank you. I always shed a light on movies where you're like, you know what? That fucker's right. It's better.
Maybe you have a point. Good job, Ricardo.
I'm convincing. Hopefully everybody listening is convinced.
You convince you fucking.
Because I'll go for another 2 hours.
No, you put a spell on everyone.
Whatever. So, we haven't done this in a little bit. What was your favorite kill?
Oh my God. There's too many.
There's too many of them?
Probably. I don't know. Let me think. You go first.
I don't know. I liked them. I liked them all. I kind of like Jacob's half face. I think the practical effects were pretty good when he got the holy water thrown on him.
Those were pretty good. I would have to say maybe the security guy, the one that got his heart. It was just stupid.
That was pretty good. That was so stupid. It was good.
That they just ripped his heart off and they kill him with a pencil.
What would you rank this movie?
I think a 3.
You give it a 3?
I give it a 3.
Yeah, I mean, I was pretty entertained. I would give it a 3 as well.
Oh, I thought you were going to go higher.
No, I give it a 3. I like it. I was entertained. But some of the dialogue, some of the stuff needed a little bit of work. I thought it was pretty good, though.
Okay, I hear you.
All right. Should we take a quick break and then go into Vienna's Review Corner?
Let's do it.
Or, actually, do you want to talk about the critics and stuff before? Because we always forget.
Sure, critics. IMDb has 7.2 out of 10. Rotten Tomatoes, 64%. And Metacritic, 48%. And for some reason, I didn't write down Google users.
Yeah, I don't have that. So, Dusk Till Dawn, the reception was mixed but intrigued.
Oh, I found it. Sorry.
Some critics were confused, some were thrilled, and audiences were split between what the hell did I just watch and hell yeah, that was awesome. What did Google have?
87%.
Okay, so common critic opinions in 96. Positive notes, praised for its energy, Grindhouse vibe, and the shocking genre shift. George Clooney got a lot of love for his breakthrough tough guy role. Special effects and vampire chaos were a highlight for horror fans. So negatives, critics didn't love the tonal shift halfway through. Many felt it was just disjointed. Some found that characters too unlikable or the plot too ridiculous. And Roger Ebert gave it a 2.5 out of 4, noting it was entertaining, but it felt like two different movies smashed together. So I would have to agree, but I'd give it higher.
Yeah.
Higher thing. So, okay, cool. Let's, I don't want to rush it, but let's take a quick break and then we'll be back with Vienna Review Corner.
Sometimes she watches.
Sometimes she don't.
Oh.
We'll be right back.
Vienna Review Corner. Sometimes she watches, sometimes she won't. Sometimes she's hype, but most times she's mad. Take it away, Vienna.
One, two, three. We're back to another review time. Hello, Camila.
Hi.
How are you today?
Good.
Good.
How are you?
I'm fantastic. Is this a movie that you did or didn't watch?
I did.
You did?
Yeah.
How did you like it? You've seen this before, right?
Mm-hmm.
How did you like it?
I wasn't all that interested, but I watched it a second time and it was pretty good.
It was pretty good. Were you impressed? Were you mad? Do you think it's a good? Wait, first of all, do you consider this horror?
Kind of.
Kind of?
Yeah.
What made it horror for you?
I don't know. I guess vampires. I don't know.
Did you think the vampires were scary?
Maybe if you don't really watch horror that much. I don't know.
Yeah, okay. All right.
Like a little like tense when like, oh, are they gonna kill him? Are they not gonna kill him? I don't know.
Oh, yeah.
Mm-hmm.
I see that. You pointed out to me before Quentin Tarantino has a foot fetish.
Yeah, if you watch like Kill Bill, I remember there's like a 5-minute scene of her just like wiggling her toes. Freaking weirdo.
It's been a long time since I watched Kill Bill.
Yeah. But I'm also wondering if like people started talking about it like once or twice and then he just kind of leaned into that to get people talking and to watch the movies.
Yeah.
So, I don't know.
Promotion. Good, bad. That's promotion. How would you rate this movie?
I would say 3 out of 5.
3 out of 5? That's what Richard
Yeah.
and I rated it as well. 3 out of 5.
Mm-hmm.
Did you have a favorite kill?
I don't think so.
No.
Or maybe the first guy where he got lit up.
Oh, the gas station attendant?
Mm-hmm.
Okay. Cool. Which one was your favorite vampire?
I didn't have one. I feel like they didn't get that much screen time, so like certain vampires, you know?
Yeah.
It was all just kind of whatever.
Just kind of whatever.
Yeah.
What are the reviews say? How do people feel about this movie?
A little difficult. A bunch of them were about feet. So, and Quentin Tarantino. Or they were about the like shift in like how it started out as like robber movie and then shifted into like vampires.
Okay.
Mm-hmm. Someone said, if you look like Quentin Tarantino and your brother looks like George Clooney, then you probably lost the genetic lottery.
Jesus.
And then someone responded and said, he's hot when he's not talking. Whenever he talks, he just feels like he's about to drug you and then take you to a hotel room to lick your feet.
With this lisp.
Yeah. Someone said, that's the craziest tonal shift I've ever seen in a movie.
It was pretty extreme if you're not used to it or if you're
Yeah.
not familiar with Tarantino and
It was like
Robert.
it was a big jump, I feel like.
Yeah.
Yeah.
It like transitioned and it was like, boom.
Yeah. Someone said, goes completely off the rails in a way I never would have expected. If you don't know anything about this movie, going in blind, it's very worth it. Also, surprised at how solid Tarantino is in this. Props to him. I don't think many people could have played that role as well as he did.
He did a pretty good job in that role, I am going to say.
He looked creepy, like you could just like
His
feel it,
acting, yeah.
Mm-hmm.
he left you feeling unsettled for sure.
Yeah.
I would not want to be in a room with him.
No. Someone said, I'm now convinced Tarantino is American just so he would measure in feet instead of in meters.
That's stupid.
And then someone else said, From Dusk Till Dawn feels like two movies in one. Starting off as a classic Tarantino style crime thriller full of tension, great dialogue, and character dynamics, and then turning into a campy, messy vampire flick with truly some terrible CGI.
I thought there was no CGI in this. It was all practical effects. That was their big thing.
Then yeah, I don't know.
Oh, I guess when some of them like light, Salma when she dies as a vampire and she turns green, there's like light. Practical effects, no CGI. Boom.
Someone said, I hated the tonal shift into the second half. It felt outrageously stupid, and I don't think the action sequences have aged very well. It went from feeling like a crime flick similar to that of Pulp Fiction to a crazy vampire thriller, and that didn't work for me. And Richard needs to stop moving around because he's very,
distracting.
yeah.
Richard disagrees with the review.
Mm-hmm.
I think they did good.
Yeah. Someone else said, I was expecting a bit more from this, but ultimately didn't really care about any of the characters, and it took far too long to get going.
No. Next.
Someone else said, From Dusk Till Dawn is amazing and doesn't have a moment of boredom. The cast was great, mainly Tarantino and Keto. But I was surprised at how good George Clooney was in this. Honestly, just a unique concept with a great idea and perfect execution. I honestly loved it and I would watch it again.
Okay.
And the last one, it's really gonna piss you guys off. They said, tacky edgelord nonsense full of obnoxious, unlikable characters who are performed atrociously. Awful direction and effects, and terrible, annoying dialogues that feel like they're never gonna end. Harvey Keitel and a few of the random supporting performances are the only redeeming aspects.
Wow. What? Oh, what generation is the reviewer from?
Why does that matter?
Gen X?
What? I'm Gen Z.
Or Gen Z?
They were a millennial, so... Talk all you want, but it wasn't us.
You have your opinions, I guess. I don't know. I feel like it's what you would expect out of a B movie.
Yeah. I thought it was good.
Yeah. I thought they did pretty good.
Mm-hmm.
Gritty, neaty, dirty.
Yeah.
I had all the boxes.
Mm-hmm. It's unique. It's never really been made before, you know. It goes in, like from raw.
It is shocking that it's a 2 movies in one, but
yeah.
But yeah. Anything else, Camille's?
No, Richard wants his headset back, so you ask her it. Just kidding. What movie are we watching next week?
Train to Busan. Another zombie movie. Numero dos. You like this? You've seen this before.
Yeah, I don't remember it.
Okay. It'll be a rewatch. Woohoo! Thank you, Vienna.
Goddamn millennials and their fucking Gen X or whatever Z. Jesus Christ. No. Good job, Vienna. I liked your comments. Her reviews are good. Thank you, as always. So Train to Busan, huh?
Train to Busan.
I love it. The dude from that one
Squid
show.
Games?
The Squid Games. Yeah, I like it. So we got that movie, and then we got 3 more movies left then.
Yeah.
Train to Busan.
The Machinist.
The Machinist, and
Exorcism of God.
An Exorcism of God. I'm excited for the last two.
Wow.
Train to Busan, we're going to be good. It's going to be a good episode. But the other two, I think are going to be bangers. Also, I do want to mention happy birthday to us. It's our 1 year anniversary today as we're recording. March 30th, we released our first ever episode that we covered Scream on.
Yeah.
March 30th, we released it.
Did you think that we were going to make it a year?
Did you?
I don't know. I had doubts at times.
You did. I never did. I had to pull you into it. So there were concerns. I was like, is she going to quit? Am I going to have to find another co-host?
Who were you to pull in?
I don't know. I would have had to figure it out.
In a week.
But no. Yeah. 1 year. So we're going to do something exciting to celebrate. You know us. We like giving stuff away. I really wanted to give away a Cybertruck, but given the kind of political atmosphere the Cybertrucks are in right now, I didn't think it was a good idea. So I'm gonna put that on the shelf,
I don't
guys.
think we can afford that.
We could. We could. We just don't want to do it, just given the atmosphere. So
okay.
I think what we're gonna do to commemorate our first ever episode, you came up with the idea. We're gonna give away altogether. We're gonna give away a T-shirt with our podcast that I think we're gonna have. I'm commissioning a brand new artwork for it, so we're gonna give that away, and then a Blu-ray of Scream, the first movie we covered, and then a Funko Pop of Ghostface.
Mm-hmm.
So that glows in the dark you were excited about.
It does. It's cute.
So I think be on the lookout for that this week, guys. We're going to try to pull that together. Just be on the lookout, and then please participate. We want to celebrate you guys as well being with us. And this one isn't going to go crazy. I think the last giveaways we did, I kind of lost excitement about it because it just got out of control with people and their fake accounts and just not really listening to the episodes, which kind of bummed me out, to be honest. That you're just using Chat GPT to get answers that were clearly wrong. I will admit it kind of dimmed my light a little bit. Lazy fucks can't even participate accordingly. You know what I mean? I'm not asking the world, but I'm gonna get off my soapbox.
You don't know your soapbox.
Yeah, this is the best podcast in the world.
The front
Hands
door.
down.
Richard, no.
I have a shitty Trump. I can't do it.
You're fucking impersonations. We do have listeners who, I don't know if you guys are on social media, just don't like it. If you want to participate in the giveaway, and if you're not on social media, send us an email.
Well, it's going to be simple too. We're not going to ask you to listen and answer a question. Honestly, we're not going to promote it. It's just going to be on the Instagram to catch everybody that listens to us to participate, but it's not going to go out. Honestly, it'll probably be just like this page, and then we'll throw you in the lottery. You will be removed if I think you're just the same person over and over again, which we can tell. Pretty lazy, if you ask me.
But if you're not participating, for the listeners who are not in social media, if you guys want to be included in the pool to participate for the giveaway, just send us an email.
Horror Cinema Obsession at gmail.com.
Hotmail.com.
Oh, hotmail.com. Hotmail. Sorry, guys.
Yes, just send us a message there just saying, hey, I want to be included in the giveaway. If you are on social media, send us a message, or when the post is released sometime tomorrow, or when this episode comes out on Monday.
But we do. We want to celebrate with you guys. It's just an awesome thing, and we appreciate you being here along the ride. I can't believe you guys like listening to us. So I know I get tired of listening to myself. So anyways, love you guys. With that, hasta luego. See. Ciao, ciao. Bye.
He walking smooth, shades on tight. Ain't looking at your face, he looking down right. You got that strut, you got that pose, but all he see is them wiggling toes. Toe jamming, feeling that groove from heel to soul. Toe jamming. them toes been through. Put them on the table, put them on the dash. You walk in with sandals, he falling fast. Toe jamming, woo! Feeling that beat from arch to heel. Toe jamming, he's in the booth and the focus is real. Toe jamming, let him breathe, let him pose, 'cause Quentin's in love with them powerful toes. Toe jamming. He'll shoot that foot like it's feeling right. He don't need fame, he got that foot game. He's toe jamming all night long.
Thanks for listening to Horror Cinema Obsession. We hope you had as much fun as we did. If so, help spread the word by leaving a rating and review wherever you listen to podcasts. And join us next time for another episode of Horror Cinema Obsession.